Chapter 30-41. Xiaohua looks at Xianxia, whose eyes are closed, and says to himself, Li was born from a lightning beast's inner core. His physique or bloodline should have a lightning beast attribute. Although the lightning beast's inner core is small, it should be able to nourish and grow after being sealed in his body. Moreover, when Li has the ability to break the seal, the male and female lightning beast's inner cores will have been nourished by Li's bloodline and will be able to be controlled. At that time, the lightning attracting technique's incantation will be easy and won't take much effort. Thinking of this, Xiaohua's hand seals one by one, extremely similar to the technique used to refine pills. After an hour, Xiaohua grabs his hand and presses it towards Xianxia's lower dantian. When Xianxia opens his eyes again, he looks at Xiaohua's smiling expression and then at his own hands. He mobilizes the true qi in his body and circulates it in his meridians, but he doesn't find anything special. Adoptive father. Xianxia looks at Xiaohua tentatively. The lightning attracting technique is no small matter. It's definitely not something you can control with your current cultivation. Xiaohua says indifferently, adoptive father has already done something to your body. When your cultivation reaches a certain level, you'll be able to control the lightning attracting technique. Saying this, he waves his hand again and two jade slips fly in front of Xianxia. One of them is the lightning attracting technique's incantation, and the other is God's guidance, which is a technique to strengthen divine sense. You can comprehend it yourself. If you have any difficulties, come and ask me. Yes, many thanks for adoptive father's kindness. Xianxia hurriedly bows. Although he doesn't seem to have any changes and he himself doesn't know what changes have occurred in his body, he is clear in his heart that adoptive father has already paved a cultivation path for him. Moreover, this path will also improve as adoptive father's realm increases, until it reaches the heavens. You can go. Xiaohua waves his hand. Call Wuqing over as well. Boy knows. Xianxia doesn't show any jealousy. Instead, he is happy. Boy still wants to talk to adoptive father. Although junior martial uncle's aptitude is very good, but, in terms of strength, he is far inferior to boy. Since adoptive father has the heart, boy won't mention it. And as long as you have the heart, Xiaohua nods, you are all disciples of Myriad Thunder Valley. Now and in the future, you have to support each other. Whatever foster father taught you, you can secretly pass it on to Wuqing. As for your own opportunities, foster father won't ask, so you don't have to tell Wuqing. Boy understands. He Jili's Xianxia's but without Zhao's permission, he are to teach to pass it. But he do. Without Xiao. He didn't without Xiao's permission. Xiao, what to him is. TT. To him to be filled, and to be filled and him to s's. To be close to be filled is to be filled to be close closes is to be close to be to s to be made and s to be sss him. To be in. He. Not long after, Wuqing arrived. He was still as indifferent as before. He bowed and greeted second senior brother, then stood there quietly. Looking at Wuqing's calmness, Xiaohua sighed. Everyone is different. This is predestined at birth and cannot be changed in the future. Looking at Xianxia's performance and Wuqing's, Xiaohua has some doubts. He couldn't help but ask, Wuqing Li asked you to come. Did he say anything to you? He did. Wuqing looked at Xiaohua and replied, he said second senior brother is going to teach me a great divine ability. Xiaohua was speechless. He couldn't ask Wuqing why he wasn't excited, could he? And, did he tell you what it is? Xiaohua could only ask. One is a divine sense strengthening technique, one is a meridian strengthening technique, and the last is the lightning attraction technique. Wuqing's expression was still calm. However, he also said that I have to keep it a secret. Other than him and second senior brother, I can't tell anyone. If your father and mother ask, will you tell them? Xiaohua asked again, admiring Wuqing's calmness. I won't. Wuqing answered resolutely. Seeing Wuqing's resolute answer, Xiaohua hesitated. He thought for a moment and waved his hand. Fine. You are different from Li. You don't have to hide it from master and master's wife. No need. Wuqing shook his head. If Li can do it, so can I. Do as you wish. Xiaohua looked at Wu Qing's tightly shut lips and didn't say anything more. He continued to use the heaven and earth sleeve technique. When Wu Qing woke up, Xiaohua gave the jade slip to Wu Qing and warned, "If you don't understand the techniques in these 3 jade slips, you can come and ask. If I'm not in the valley, you can also compare notes with Li. However, each person's own comprehension is always stronger than others' guidance." "Yes, I know." Wu Qing took the jade slip and didn't look at it. He still stood there. "All right, you can go now. Call Ying over." Xiaohua waved his hand. He had also decided that since he would treat everyone equally, he might as well let the 3 children fight together to avoid future troubles. "Yes," Wu Qing answered and turned to leave. He only stopped when he reached the entrance of the cave. He turned again and bowed. "Thank you, second senior brother." No need to be polite." Xiaohua smiled and nodded slightly. He originally thought that the extremely shy Cui Yingying wouldn't come easily, but he didn't expect that in just a moment, Wu Qing would actually bring Cui Yingying over. As usual, Cui Yingying pulled Wu Qing's hand and hid behind him in extreme fear. Moreover, from time to time, she would turn her head to look outside the cave. "Ai, this child." Xiaohua swept with his Buddhist awareness and naturally knew that Dui Qiming was guarding outside the door. However, she couldn't hide the joy on her face and didn't dare to take half a step into the cave. "Second senior brother." Wu Qing pulled Cui Yingying to Xiaohua and bowed. "Good." Xiaohua nodded and covered with his hand again. Cui Yingying closed her eyes and her small body flew into the air. "Little brother will take his leave." Wu Qing saw this and turned to leave. However, Xiaohua spoke. "Yingying is still young. In the future, if I'm not in the valley, you and Li will have to teach her if she has any questions. Do you understand?" "Yes, little brother understands. Little brother will tell Xianxia what second senior brother said." Wu Qing nodded and slowly walked out of the cave. After half a day, when Cui Yingying opened her eyes and saw that Wu Qing was no longer there was only an unfamiliar Xiaohua in front of her. Her small mouth flattened, and with a cry, she ran away from Xiaohua without hesitation and rushed out of the cave. Xiaohua bitterly smiled, his figure fluttering behind her. Who would have thought that it would have been better if he didn't leave? Although Cui Yingying didn't turn her head, she still sensed him and walked even faster. After leaving the cave, Cui Yingying immediately jumped onto Dui Qiming, who was also worried about her beloved daughter. She tightly hugged her mother's neck and fearfully twisted her tearful face to look at the smiling strange martial uncle. "You child, you're really useless," Dui Qiming angrily shouted. "Your second martial uncle is doing this for your own good." Then, Dui Qiming turned to Xiaohua and said, "Second senior brother, this child has little experience and is very afraid of people. Please don't take offense." It's fine." Xiaohua waved his hand. "Although Yingying hasn't seen much, she's the same as Li. I won't treat her unfairly. In the future, I will personally teach her cultivation. In addition, I've already warned Li and Wu Qing that if I go out to gain experience and am not in the valley, Yingying can ask the 2 of them if she has any questions." With Yingying in second senior brother's hands, this concubine can rest assured." Dui Qiming hurriedly bowed. "This concubine thanks second senior brother." "Get up," Xiaohua said with a smile. "I can't teach you basic cultivation techniques, but I do have some unique divine abilities. If you don't mind, I can also pick some suitable ones to teach you." "Ah, was that true? Then I'll have to thank second senior brother again." Dui Qiming was very clear about Xiaohua's divine abilities. Now that she saw Xiaohua agree, she was naturally wild with joy. "And, let's talk about this later." Xiaohua waved his hand and asked again, "You all came back from the Thunderquake Palace. How was the situation?" When this matter was mentioned, Dui Qiming's expression became somewhat unsightly. She said in a low voice, "Second senior brother's method of intimidating the aura refining disciples that day was extremely good. Almost all the aura refining disciples didn't dare to cause trouble again. However, they were humiliated and angry. You also saw that there were several hundred letters of challenge. Now that I heard that second senior brother has returned, there are actually some foundation building senior brothers blocking the valley's entrance, wanting to fight with second senior brother." "Are they crazy?" Xiaohua was stunned. Do they think they're better than Qin Jian? Don't tell me they don't know that what I said that day was really serious. Dui Qiming smiled bitterly. She looked at the puzzled Xiaohua and said, "Second senior brother, you still underestimate people's greed and jealousy. Not to mention what you said that day, even if you didn't say it. As soon as this Dao sword battle ended, there would definitely be a lot of disciples coming to compare notes with you. Can you not agree to it? If you don't agree, they'll say that you don't dare to accept the challenge and that your achievements are fake. But if you agree and accept the challenge if you lose, they'll naturally say, look, the meritorious contributor's cultivation base is only Hizo. If I went to the Dao sword battle, I would definitely have more achievements. But what if you win? They'll say, what's so great about that? Since he could kill Qin Jian, his cultivation base must be high. It's nothing if I lose to him. This is too shameless, right? Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That's not all. Dui Qiming sneered. When second senior brother wasn't in the Myriad Thunder Valley, when eldest senior brother and Hong Shen saw the letters of challenge, they also expressed that they could accept the challenge on second senior brother's behalf. But they didn't agree, so what do you think they meant? Their letters of challenge directly stated that it was second senior brother. Chapter 3042. Xiaohua's heart warmed when he heard that Xiangyang and Cui Hongshan intended to fight on his behalf. He then asked, did any of these disciples go to Sky Patrol City with us? Disciples who have been on the battlefield definitely won't be like this. Dui Qiming continued, they know the cruelty of the battlefield. Even their disciples won't be so impulsive. Only those who haven't been on the battlefield and have the advantage of not having to experience life and death would be like this. And I understand. Xiaohua knew that he was still lacking compared to Dui Qiming and Cui Hongshan in terms of social conduct. He nodded and asked, eldest senior brother and junior brother Cui have returned, right? Yes, they're with master's wife now. Dui Qiming replied. Xiaohua nodded and said, all right, let's go. I'll listen to your opinions. Inside the cave, the younger disciples had already left. The situation outside the valley was obviously tense. Only Xiangyang and the others were sitting on jade chairs with frowns. Seeing Xiaohua enter, several people forced smiles, especially Cui Hongshan. He received Dui Qiming's signal and respectfully thanked Xiaohua. Xiaohua nodded to indicate that there was no need to be polite. He then looked at Zhuo Minghui and said, Master's wife, this disciple really didn't expect that the Dao Sword War would have such a huge impact on our Myriad Thunder Valley. AI, Xiaohua, don't talk about you. This old one is also surprised. Zhuo Minghui was also vexed. Previously, this old one felt wronged when we weren't welcomed in Myriad Thunder Valley. Now that Myriad Thunder Valley is the focus of attention, this old one remembers the peace of the past. It would have been better if no one had paid attention to it in the past, instead of getting caught up in this nonsense. Especially your battle achievements. Before you didn't have any battle achievements, this old one felt that it would be good if you could return safely. However, after obtaining battle achievements, this old one felt that you would be the meritorious subjects of my Imperial Thunder Sect in the future. Whether it's my Myriad Thunder Valley or you would receive more respect in the Thunderous Palace and even in the Imperial Thunder Sect. However, I didn't expect that, instead of receiving respect, you would receive so much filth. Actually, no matter what I say, Cui Hongshan said with a smile, my Myriad Thunder Valley's foundation is still too weak. If we develop for a few more years and second senior brother recruits a dozen more foundation-building disciples, who would dare to challenge my Myriad Thunder Valley? This situation. I'm afraid it's similar to the situation of my Imperial Thunder Sect in the Cultivation 3 Kingdoms, right? Xiaohua's heart stirred and he spoke again. That's right. Xiangyang rarely spoke. The current situation has developed beyond our control. Master's wife, in this disciple's opinion, we can only wait for Master to come out of seclusion before making a decision. Eldest senior brother. Xiaohua laughed. Do you think that the face of two Azoth core cultivators can make them stop? Do you want Master to face such a terrible situation as soon as he comes out of seclusion? If that was the case, wouldn't Master scold little brother to death? You know Master's temper. Xiangyang smiled bitterly. That's right. If the faces of the two golden core cultivators were of no use, what else could the Myriad Thunder Valley have? Has second senior brother made a decision? Dui Qiming looked at Yan Qinglian, and the two of them exchanged glances before asking. N. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earthware. Xiao Hua waved his hand. Since it was this Xiao who said it that day, then this Xiao will naturally deal with it. Second junior brother. Xiangyang immediately disagreed. You won too much honor for our myriad Thunder Valley in the Dao Sword Great Battle. There's no reason for you to return to the myriad Thunder Valley and accept the challenge. This matter. Let me and little junior brother accept the challenge together. He, eldest senior brother. This little brother naturally has arrangements for this matter. Don't worry. As Xiao Hua spoke, he raised his head and urged his magic power to call out. Not long after, Xianxia happily flew in and bowed in greeting. Take this jade table and the challenge jade slip to the outer valley. Xiao Hua pointed with his hand and said, Haha, foster father, you're finally going to make a move? Xianxia was overjoyed. Let's see if they still dare to challenge after killing one or two of them. Boy doesn't believe that. They're not afraid of dying. Xiangyang scolded. They're all disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect. How can you casually kill them? Father, that's the Thunder Arena, regardless of life or death. Xianxia cried out exaggeratedly. What kind of face have they had these days? If they don't kill a few of them, how can they stop? Looking at Xiangyang, Xiao Hua said coldly. That's right. This Xiao said that if they're not afraid of death, then come. Since they've come, then this Xiao will kill one or two of them. Let's see if they still dare to. If they dare, then this Xiao will kill again. Left and right Thunder Arena, regardless of life or death. Second senior brother. Hearing this, Cui Hongshan's hair stood on end. He hurriedly advised, this little brother feels that it's best to stop before going too far. After all, they're all disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect. Don't say any more. If they still had feelings for the Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples in their eyes, they wouldn't have forced us like this. Xiao Hua waved his hand indifferently. Besides, others may not know, but how can you not know? This Xiao's methods all want to kill. If they insist on attacking, this Xiao doesn't know how to keep their lives. Let's go. Only Xianxia wasn't afraid of making a big fuss. He took the jade table and several hundred jade slips and flew out of the valley. By the time Xiao Hua arrived at the valley with Cui Hongshan and the others, Xianxia had already placed the jade table and jade slips outside the Immortal's cave. Moreover, more than a dozen disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect on duty had already surrounded them. Similarly, more than a dozen disciples were holding jade slips in their hands and standing in the air a little further away. Senior brother Cui, what are you doing? The leader of the disciples on duty was a foundation-building disciple who was obviously familiar with Cui Hongshan. Seeing them flying over, he hurriedly asked, Junior brother Jen. Cui Hongshan smiled bitterly. He pointed at the jade slips and the aura-refining disciples in the air and said, They're all here to challenge my second senior brother. Previously, my second senior brother wasn't here. Now that he's back, he naturally has to fight them. My second senior brother isn't even afraid of facing a cruel sword cultivator, so why should he be afraid of others? Sigh, that disciple stamped his feet in the air and shook his head vigorously. However, when he saw Xiao Hua's cold expression, he didn't know what to say. Xiao Hua didn't say much. Looking at the dozen disciples, he asked, Are you here to deliver the letter of challenge? Those dozen disciples hesitated for a moment. Almost at the same time, they respectfully saluted and answered, Yes. And put it inside, Xiao Hua said indifferently. Then wait on the side. Yes. The dozen disciples placed the jade slips on the jade table and obediently stood on the side. Wuching, Xiao Hua said with a smile. Pick one from inside. Yes, foster father. Wuching stretched out his hand, took one out from inside, and respectfully handed it over. Good. Xiao Hua took it and scanned it with his divine sense. He said loudly, Chen Yuha from the Imperial Thunder Sect. So you're a senior brother from the Imperial Thunder Sect. That's really great. Then Xiao Hua cupped his hands and said, Junior brother Jen. I don't dare. Junior brother's name is Jen Jian. I wonder if senior brother Xiaohua has any instructions. Zhen Jian hurriedly returned the salute. Xiaohua handed the jade slip to Zhen Jian and said, I'll have to trouble junior brother Zhen to bring this jade slip to the Imperial Thunder Sect. Tomorrow at noon, I'll personally go to the Imperial Thunder Sect. There's no need to ask my Thunder Sect's Reverend Lei Meng to be the witness. Anyone can do it. I want to challenge this Chen Yuha at the Imperial Thunder Sect's Thunderfield. Moreover, my myriad Thunder Valley will randomly pick one of these jade slips every night and ask junior brother Zhen to deliver it. Until I've finished all the challenges. Xiaohua said each word clearly. After he finished speaking, he threw the jade slip to Zhen Jian and turned around to fly back to the myriad Thunder Valley. Looking at the jade slip in front of him, Zhen Jian smiled bitterly and looked at Cui Hongshan for help. Junior brother Zhen, do as senior brother Xiao says. Cui Hongshan sighed. If you don't seek death, you won't die. Since someone is seeking death, we can only let him die. It can't be, right? Zhen Jian shouted. It's for real? The complexions of the dozen or so aura-refining disciples also changed. They glanced at each other and hurriedly left. Xiaohua returned to his immortal's cave to meditate. The myriad Thunder Valley became quiet, but the entire Imperial Thunder Sect was boiling over. Night was originally for ordinary people, and cultivators didn't care about it. However, during the night, cultivators would usually rest or meditate as usual and wouldn't be too active. Tonight, however, Xiaohua's words and the news of him accepting the challenge from the Heavenly Thunder Palace's foundation-building disciples had completely disrupted this night. There were many disciples in the Imperial Thunder Sect, and aura-refining disciples and foundation-building disciples even accounted for the majority. Xiaohua's lightning strike of several thousand aura-refining disciples had already offended the majority of this majority. Now, he was even risking universal condemnation to compete with the foundation-building disciples and directly accepting the challenge from more than 1,000 foundation-building disciples. It was truly like a meteor rushing into a rushing river. Although the river was vast and turbulent, the meteor was also fierce and courageous. When the meteor fell into the river, the waves would rise for thousands of feet. Would the river drown the meteor, or would the meteor break the river flow? This was the question that countless disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect were eagerly waiting for. Indeed, the rise of the myriad Thunder Valley was really too sudden. Before the great battle between Dao and Sword, they were completely unknown. Although the myriad Thunder Valley used to be an important place of the Imperial Thunder Sect, it had already been forgotten. Unfortunately, although they were late-stage foundation-building cultivators, they were clumsy with words. The myriad Thunder Valley didn't have many descendants, and their only disciple, Xianxia, was often the laughingstock of the Heavenly Thunder Palace. There was also Xiaohua. Although he was famous for a while during the Feather Immortal Assembly and almost everyone saw his outstanding talent, he still failed to enter the foundation-building realm. Xiao He, who was standing there, was immediately drowned by the huge waves and no one could see her again. However, after the great battle between Dao and Sword, everything was completely different. Not to mention that Cui Hongshan and Dui Qiming were members of the Imperial Thunder Sect's first small team, and Cui Hongshan was even the captain who made the greatest contribution to the Imperial Thunder Sect. Not to mention that Xianxia came out of nowhere and had amazing aptitude. Not to mention that under the management of Cui Hongshan and Dui Qiming, the myriad Thunder Valley had more and more disciples and Cui Hongshan's position in the Heavenly Thunder Palace gradually rose. Just Xiaohua, this person who streaked across the sky like a comet after the great battle between Dao and Sword, was enough to change the myriad Thunder Valley. Chapter 3043. When the people of the Imperial Thunder Sect noticed Xiaohua's battle achievements, they naturally turned their gazes towards Xiaohua's process of entering the Imperial Thunder Sect and his growth in the sect. They naturally discovered Xiaohua's hidden fangs, such as his abnormality in the disciple selection and his fame in the Feather Immortal Assembly. However, these weren't enough to prove anything, and they didn't care too much about it, just like the reactions of the many nascent soul masters in the Great Thunder Hall. Because in a large sect like the Imperial Thunder Sect, a cultivator like Xiaohua would appear almost every 10 years. Even if Xiaohua's battle achievements surpassed Li Zongbao's, it probably wouldn't attract more attention. After all, as Dui Qiming said, in every great battle, there would inevitably be disciples who would stand out, and after every great battle, there would definitely be more foundation establishment disciples who would come to ask for advice from these outstanding disciples. In the end, these friendly and malicious exchanges would smooth out the edges of these disciples. What really attracted the attention of all the disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect was the change in Xiaohua's attitude. Whether it was Xiaohua's outstanding results in entering the Imperial Thunder Sect or his miraculous performance in the Feather Immortal Assembly, Xiaohua didn't seem to have any intention of showing off. But after the great battle, when Xiaohua returned to the myriad Thunder Valley for the first time, he changed. That day, when facing thousands of aura-refining disciples, Xiaohua actually dared to trigger heavenly lightning and even used soul stab. While intimidating the aura-refining disciples, he also attacked the Foundation Establishment disciples. There had never been a Foundation Establishment disciple who dared to do so, and there had never been a meritorious member of the Imperial Thunder Sect who dared to do so. Perhaps the disciples of the Heavenly Thunder Palace had such capital, or perhaps the disciples of the Earthly Thunder Palace dared to have such thoughts, but there would never be a Thunderous Thunder Palace disciple who dared to have such thoughts, even if he was a late Foundation Establishment cultivator. Not to mention that the myriad Thunder Valley was merely an inconspicuous location of the Thunderous Thunder Palace, and Xiaohua was merely a mid-Foundation Establishment disciple. Therefore, night came, and so did the climax of the 8 Great Thunder Palaces. There were even more Thunder Note talismans flying around than during the day. The disciples who were normally in seclusion all came out of seclusion. Everyone was discussing with each other, and their faces were in high spirits. It was 10 times more exciting than when they learned that Xiaohua had made a great contribution in the great battle of Dao and Sword. In this world, there were far more people who wanted to see you make a fool of than those who wanted to see you succeed. Even in the Thunder Immortal Peak's Great Thunder Palace, the 7 lofty palace masters of the 7 Great Thunder Palaces, as well as the numerous palace masters of the various Thunder Palaces, each with a different expression, are looking at the palace guard who is reading the message Jade Slip. His expression was one of schadenfreude, one of shock, one of pity, and one of contemplation. Slap! Fairy Xianxia slapped her own thigh. Her expression was different from everyone else's. It was extreme anger. This frightened the palace god who was reciting the message to immediately shut his mouth and looked at Fairy Xianxia who was sitting on the praying mat with some fear. Fairy Xianxia waved her hand and said, "There's no need to read it. You may leave." After the palace god had quietly left the Great Lightning Palace, Fairy Xianxia coldly glanced at her surroundings before her gaze landed on the expressionless face of Reverend Lei Tan. Unfortunately, Lei Meng Daoist did not seem to be aware of it. Even after Fairy Xianxia stared at him for half a cup of tea's time, he still did not raise his head. "Junior brother Lightning Meh," Fairy Xianxia helplessly called out. "Your Thunder Palace's disciple wants you to be the witness? Didn't you hear?" Thunder Meng Daoist's eyebrows did not move as he indifferently replied, "He's just a mid-Foundation Establishment disciple. What qualifications does he have to make I be the witness?" "Then you don't plan to interfere?" Fairy Xianxia asked again. "Interfere?" This time, Thunder Meng Daoist raised his head and asked curiously, "A Foundation Establishment disciple from the 7 Great Lightning Palaces challenged my Thunder Palace's disciple. Senior Sister Xianxia, who do you want me to interfere? Order Xiaohua? Don't let Xiaohua accept the challenge? Senior Sister Xianxia, why don't you let the 7 Great Lightning Palace's disciple withdraw the challenge?" If not for Xiaohua's arrogance, daring to strike thousands of qi-refining disciples with lightning, who would challenge a meritorious subject like him? Fairy Xianxia angrily said. However, when the word meritorious official was mentioned, Fairy Xianhua's anger flared up again. She was practically flustered and exasperated as she cursed, "This Xiaohua truly deserves to die. Why doesn't he look at the big picture? Why doesn't he have the consciousness to share the burden of our Yuanying masters? Why doesn't he have the slightest bit of responsibility? Why does he hold on to his meritorious service in the Dao Sword War so tightly, not willing to let go at all? I'm only temporarily letting him bear some responsibility. Didn't I say it clearly in the decree? There's no punishment. Everything can wait until Sect Master comes out of seclusion. When the time comes, won't everything be over with a word from Sect Master? Moreover, when Qian Qinghua's matter is announced, won't he have another meritorious service? Won't I also take advantage of the situation to erase his mistakes? I'm doing this for his own good, in order to better temper him. Why doesn't he understand my painstaking efforts? Why can't he enter seclusion in Myriad Thunder Valley? If he enters seclusion like that helplessly for 10 years, won't everything be over? It was rare for Fairy Xianxia to lose her temper like this. Although she was talking about Xiaohua, her eyes were staring at Thunder Meng Daoist, clearly blaming him for not dealing with Xiaohua. But after Thunder Meng Daoist raised his head and said a few words, he immediately lowered his head, pretending not to have seen anything. This made Fairy Xianxia even more furious. Unfortunately, a Yuanian cultivator like Fairy Xianxia, who was also the palace master of Heavenly Thunder Palace, had forgotten that the root of all this. Wasn't it them who inverted right and wrong, confusing black and white, and saying that Xiaohua's meritorious service was a mistake? Since that was the case, why should Xiaohua endure such humiliation? Why should Xiaohua hide in Myriad Thunder Valley and not come out? Why should they say that forbearance is for the big picture? The ones who should bear responsibility should be these high and mighty Yuanian cultivators, right? Xiaohua is a rogue cultivator who just entered Imperial Thunder Sect and has just entered Foundation Establishment. My Thunderclap Palace didn't have time to properly teach him before he was sent to the Dao Sword War. He doesn't have a big picture. That's normal. Thunder Meng Daoist suddenly raised his head, causing Fairy Xianxia to be stunned. At the side, Zhen Yunzi's expression slightly changed. Obviously, Thunder Meng Daoist was hinting that the Thunder Palace's teaching was not strict enough. Thus, Zhen Yunzi said indifferently, according to what this old man knows, Xiaohua was not taught in my Thunder Palace when he entered Imperial Thunder Sect. He was sent to the Eastern Ridge Herb Garden. Even if my Thunder Palace wanted to, we were powerless. Forget it. Fairy Xianxia waved her hand and said, it's just a few Foundation Establishment disciples who are causing trouble. Let them fight. This old woman wants to see how many Xiaohua can kill. Immediately, Fairy Xianxia raised her head again and said angrily, now that Heaven Patrol City has been surrounded by my Dao Sect's cultivators, I'm afraid that even if the sword cultivator has wings, it will be hard for him to escape. If it was a normal situation, my Dao Sect would have already won. But now, tens of thousands of my Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples have fallen into Heaven Patrol City. In the end, I'm afraid that they will become hostages. Even, this old woman has a premonition. Xianghua Sect's Sun Yunzi and the others will definitely not let go of this opportunity. Although they won't openly force the sword cultivator to death, the outcome will definitely be disastrous. The sword cultivator won't be able to defend Heaven Patrol City and will suffer great losses. My Imperial Thunder Sect and Mo Sang Mountain's disciples will all be slaughtered in Heaven Patrol City. At such a critical moment, how can Xiaohua be so ignorant of the big picture? Unexpectedly, Fairy Xianxia mentioned Xiaohua again. Thunder Meng Daoist's eyebrows twitched and he almost spoke again. However, he glanced at the empty palace and sighed in his heart. Great Thunder Palace was originally in contact with Reverend Mi Yu who was in the war. However, after they entered Heaven Patrol City, the sword cultivator rarely harassed Heaven Patrol City. Thus, Great Thunder Palace ignored it and often did not contact Reverend Mi Yu for dozens of days. Reverend Mi Yu also did not report the situation of the war. Or rather, Reverend Mi Yu herself did not know much about the situation of the war and had to rely on other disciples to report back. Even the news of the fall of Heaven Patrol City was reported by other disciples. Great Thunder Palace then hurriedly tried to contact Reverend Mi Yu but to no avail. Great Thunder Palace naturally had contact with Sun Yunzi and the others. Unfortunately, as the war intensified, especially when Heaven Patrol City was besieged, Sun Yunzi mostly ignored the Imperial Thunder Sect's contact. Now that the Imperial Thunder Sect had lost contact with Sun Yunzi, they naturally lost control of the situation in Heaven Patrol City and had to obtain a lot of information from other places. Fairy Xianxia could not do anything to Sun Yunzi. She could not get the news of Heaven Patrol City and the tens of thousands of disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect. How could she not be angry when she encountered the Imperial Thunder Sect's troublesome matters? However, Thunder Meng Daoist was also clear that most of the Foundation Establishment disciples who challenged him were from Qian Thunder Palace and Earth Thunder Palace. Although there were some from other Thunder Palaces, they were all instigated by some people to join in the fun. Thunder Meng Daoist was even more clear that although the 8 great Thunder Palaces each had their own system, which seemed to disperse the power of the sect leader and reduce the work of the sect leader, the 8 great Thunder Palaces each had their own way of doing things, which led to internal strife. The Heavenly Thunder Palace and the Earth Thunder Palace had always been the leaders, suppressing the disciples of the other 6 great Thunder Palaces. These Foundation Establishment disciples who challenged were mostly ordered by the palace masters of the 2 great Thunder Palaces. Sure enough, Fairy Xianxia opened her mouth and said angrily, "Palace Guard, when did the latest news from Heaven Patrol City come? Don't you have the latest news?" Palace Master. A late Foundation Establishment disciple hurried in and answered with a bow. "The latest news from Heaven Patrol City was received the day before yesterday morning. Our Dao sect disciples are still setting up a formation. It seems to be a very powerful formation, but the participating disciples do not know what kind of formation it is. They are afraid that the news will leak out, so the sword cultivators have taken precautions. If there are no accidents, the latest news should be sent back in 2 hours. Humph. Report immediately if you have any news." Fairy Xianxia snorted coldly, obviously extremely dissatisfied. She waved her hand and motioned for the disciple to leave. Chapter 3044. Senior Sister Xianxia. Zhen Yunzi said in a low voice, "Setting up the array is not something that can be done in a day. Even if the latest battle report comes in, it will still be the same. There won't be anything that we want. Unless the formation succeeds or fails, there won't be any new news. In short, no matter if it's a victory or a defeat, it's not something we want to see." Fairy Yao Feng of Distant Thunder Palace sighed. "Apart from waiting, there's nothing else we can do." For a moment, the entire Great Thunder Palace fell into its usual silence. "Zhenhayu." Suddenly, Thunder Meng Immortal spoke. "Disciple is here." Among the dozen or so palace masters on duty, Jianghu, the palace master of 100 Refining Palace, was taken aback and hurriedly bowed. "You don't have to come to Great Thunder Palace tomorrow. Go to the Thunder Arena." Thunder Meng Daoist says indifferently, "Xiaohua has already asked this old man to be the witness. Although this old man cannot go, but I cannot let others bully my Thunder Palace's disciples. If you go and be the witness, you can also report the situation to us. Of course, the most important thing is to not let this matter blow up." "Yes, disciple understands." Zhanhayu bowed and retreated to the back. Qian Fengju, Fairy Xianxia glanced at Thunder Meng Immortal and said, "You're the palace master of Heavenly Thunder Palace's Heavenly Thunder Palace and in charge of fights. This Thunder Arena is also your responsibility. You should go and take a look. I'd like to see how many disciples Xiaohua can kill." "Yes," a late Gold Core disciple hurriedly bowed, but there was some disapproval on his face. "It's the Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples' right to go to the Thunder Arena, but we can't let them do whatever they want. We can't let them make a big deal out of it, especially. Now is a critical time. Don't kill too many people." Fairy Xianxia added. "Disciple understands." Qian Fengju naturally nodded. A battle on the Thunder Arena had attracted so much attention before it even started. This was probably the first time something like this had happened since the Imperial Thunder Sect was founded. The next day, in front of the Cosmos Thunder Palace's Temple of Life and Death, Zhua Minghui and the others, who were led by the Cosmos Thunder Palace's disciples who wore respectful expressions but whose eyes were filled with unconcealable disdain, were stunned by the scene before them. Xiaohua had previously entered the Temple of Life and Death of the Thunder Palace. He also knew that the majority of the deacons in the Temple of Life and Death were in the middle or late stage of the Foundation establishment realm. Ordinary disputes between disciples only required this deacon to step forward and open the Temple of Life and Death. Only disputes between Jindan stage disciples could possibly alarm the higher-level Jindan stage cultivators. Of course, just one Jindan stage cultivator of this level was more than enough. But now, in front of the triangular view of life and death that was completely different from Thunderclap Palace's view of life and death, there were actually 4 Jindan stage masters. Furthermore, to the left of these 4 core formation masters, there were also over a dozen late-stage Foundation establishment disciples. Unfortunately, although there were many core formation masters, other than Zhen Qing, who was standing at the very end, Xiaohua didn't recognize any of the 3 core formation masters and the dozen or so late-stage Foundation establishment disciples. Zhua Minghui, who was at the very front, didn't dare to be negligent. She took a few steps forward and bowed in greeting. "Disciple Zhua Minghui greets Senior Martial Brother He Yu and Senior Martial Brother Zhen Qing. Greetings to the 2 Senior Martial Brothers." "That's right. Even Zhua Minghui didn't seem to recognize the other two Jindan stage masters. Hee, junior martial sister Minghui. You don't need to be so courteous. Xiaohua. You and the others also get up. Zhan Haiyu raised his hand and said with a smile. Come Minghui, this old man will introduce you to the two senior martial brothers of Heavenly Thunder Palace. Yes. Zhua Minghui hurriedly nodded. This is Qian Fengju, the Hall Master of Heavenly Thunder Palace's Hall Master of Diligent Thunder Hall. He's in charge of our Imperial Thunder Sect's Thunder Arena. Now, Senior Martial Brother Qian has received orders from Fairy Xianxia of Great Thunder Palace to come and judge this life and death battle. Zhan Haiyu pointed at the late-stage Jindan stage cultivator and said, Greetings to Hall Master Qian. Hearing that it was the Hall Master of Heavenly Thunder Palace, Zhua Minghui was even more shocked. She hurriedly bowed again. Behind her, Xiangyang, Xiaohua and Cui Hongshan also respectfully bowed. This is Senior Martial Brother Qian Pingming of Heavenly Thunder Palace. He was invited by martial nephew Qian Yuhe to be the judge. Zhan Haiyu pointed at the other middle-stage Jindan stage cultivator and introduced him. Although Zhua Minghui and the others were respectful towards Qian Pingming, it was only towards Senior Martial Brothers and Jindan stage cultivators. It couldn't compare to Qian Fengju. However, Qian Pingming didn't mind. He politely bowed and stood behind Qian Fengju again. In the end, Zhan Haiyu said to Xiaohua with a smile. Xiaohua, I presume you still don't know who this old man is? That's right. Senior Martial Uncle Zhen, this disciple didn't go to Heavenly Thunder Palace much after entering the Imperial Thunder Sect. Then, I went to the training in the Battle of Dao Sword. As for the teachers of Heavenly Thunder Palace, I really don't know many of them. Xiaohua said with a smile. It was because of the Feather Immortal Assembly that this disciple met Senior Martial Uncle Zhen Qing. Hee, Zhen Haiyu looked at Zhen Qing and laughed. It seems that this old man isn't as famous as the teachers of Heavenly Thunder Palace. Senior Martial Brother Zhen. You must be joking. Zhen Qing also laughed. Xiaohua has been in Heavenly Thunder Palace ever since he entered the Imperial Thunder Sect. To be honest, I think that Xiaohua is more suitable to be a disciple of Heavenly Thunder Palace. Junior Martial Brother Zhen is the one joking. Zhan Haiyu waved his hand. How could Thundermeng Zhenren let go of such an outstanding disciple like Xiaohua? Then, Zhan Haiyu said to Xiaohua, Xiaohua, this old man is the Hall Master of 100 Refinements Palace, Zhan Haiyu. I'm here on the orders of Thundermeng Zhenren to be your judge. Thank you. Senior Martial Uncle Zhen. Thank you. Senior Martial Uncle Zhen. Panic appeared on Xiaohua's face. This junior was just joking. I didn't expect that martial ancestor really heard it. Hee, it's not just the palace master who heard it. Zhen Haiyu laughed mischievously. The other 5 palace masters also heard it. Otherwise, how could this old man be standing here? Ayo, then this is troublesome. Xiaohua cried out in alarm. What's wrong? Zhan Haiyu was startled and asked curiously. Xiaohua said solemnly. Yesterday, this disciple already said in my myriad Thunder Valley that every night, a challenge jade slip will be picked out. Before this disciple said this, there were only a few hundred challenge jade slips, seemingly less than 1,000. This morning, this disciple discovered that there are already 1,800 challenge jade slips. If the palace master is here to be the judge all the time, good gracious, that's a full 3 years. How should the affairs of 100 Refinements Palace be handled? Ah, Zhan Haiyu laughed loudly. Ignorant child. Really arrogant. Among the dozen or so disciples of Heavenly Thunder Palace in the late stage of foundation establishment, a fat old man with a white face and no beard coldly snorted with an ugly expression. No matter. Zhan Haiyu acted as if he didn't hear the words of the foundation establishment disciple, and looked at Xiaohua. This old man will stay in the life and death temple. You kill for a few days. This old man will stay for a few days. The affairs of 100 Refinements Palace are naturally taken care of by the Deputy Palace Master. However, Martial Nephew Xiao, you should be concerned about your Martial Uncle Qian. You have occupied the Life and Death Temple for 3 years. Do others still want to use it? Unexpectedly, Qian Fengju also laughed and said, No matter. As long as Martial Nephew Xiao is not afraid of being exhausted to death, this old man will also guard the Thunderfield every day and not let others in. Thank you for your trouble, martial uncles. Xiaohua seemed to be even more thick-skinned and bowed solemnly. Okay. Qian Fengju nodded slightly and stopped smiling. He looked up at the life and death temple and said lightly, "This old man hasn't judged a life and death duel for a long time. Right now, I don't know how many pairs of eyes are staring at the thunder field in front of the life and death temples of the other 7 great thunder palaces. Xiaohua, Qian Yuha, I'll give you the time it takes for an incense stick to burn to prepare. This old man is going to open the life and death temple." Yes, disciple understands. At the same time that Xiaohua agreed, the fat old man also bowed and answered, "Xiaohua." After Xiaohua accompanied Zhuo Minghui and the others to the side, Zhen Qing walked over and said apologetically, "Previously in Great Thunder Palace, this old man. Alas, this old man knows that you have been wronged, but this old man doesn't have the authority to discuss matters in Great Thunder Palace." "I can't even say a single word for you, this old man?" That day in Great Thunder Palace, Xiaohua was unbearably angry and left with a flick of his sleeves. He simply didn't think that Zhen Qing would still be in Great Thunder Palace. Now that he heard Zhen Qing's words, he actually came specifically to explain this matter. Incomparably moved, he hurriedly bowed and said, "Martial uncle, you are too polite. Great Thunder Palace is not a place to speak out for justice. You being able to have the heart to defend your disciple is better than anything else. The Imperial Thunder Sect with you is the Imperial Thunder Sect in this junior's heart. Alas, actually, you don't have to be like this." Zhen Qing sighed. "Your contributions are the focus of the entire sect, and no one can erase them. You only need to do nothing, and there will naturally be a day when the truth comes to light. You being so rash, I'm afraid that you will ruin things." Alas, martial uncle Zhen, without waiting for Xiaohua to speak, the nearby Xiangyang also sighed and said, "Your thoughts are the same as this junior's. Actually, this junior feels that there are many things that you don't have to fight to understand. Sometimes, being muddle-headed is also a kind of happiness." However, junior martial brother Xiao didn't listen. Currently, only martial aunt is in charge of our 10,000 Thunder Valley. Haha, martial uncle Zhen, eldest martial brother. Xiaohua smiled, a very brilliant smile, and said in a low voice, "If this was before the great battle of Dao and Sword, this junior might have had the same thoughts as you. Perhaps I would have swallowed this cowardice down. However, after the great battle, this junior has seen too many deaths, and also seen too many conspiracies. To say something heinous, this junior's actions during the great battle are enough to affect the outcome of the great battle. Since that's the case, why should this junior shrink back?" Facing the sword cultivator's flying sword, facing the giant's long rod, facing the unknown hidden arrows, this junior isn't afraid, so who cares about the challenge of a few foundation establishment cultivators? What makes this junior the most uneasy is that countless low-level disciples died during the great battle of Dao and Sword. I don't know if the names of these low-level disciples will be remembered by our Imperial Thunder Sect or the other sects, but they died for the ideals in their hearts, for the sect in their hearts, for the heavenly Dao that they cultivated. They don't regret it, but what about other people? Perhaps in other people's eyes, they are chess pieces, they are bait, they are sacrificed to lure the sword cultivators to their deaths. This junior feels that it's not worth it for them. This junior is also a low-level disciple like them. This junior feels that I should let others know that although we are low-level disciples, our contributions cannot be erased. Chapter 30-45. Zhen Qing smiled bitterly. She looked at Zhan Haiyu in the distance and said in a low voice, "What you said is too extreme. Actually, Hall Master Qian of Jade Archive Hall also explained it to me. Haha, isn't it just a bit of forbearance, a bit of suppression, allowing this junior to guard against arrogance and rashness? It's good for this junior's growth." Xiaohua said somewhat disdainfully, "This junior feels that merit is merit, and mistakes are mistakes. There's no such thing as suppression. Besides, what makes you think that suppressing others is good for them? Just because he didn't allow others to stand out, he would definitely be able to do better in the future? Others have their own freedom. You don't have the right to affect others' freedom." At this point, Xiaohua saw that Zhen Qing's expression was a little bad. He took a deep breath and said, "Martial uncle, I'm a little agitated." "Forget it. Actually, I didn't say anything about the Great Thunder Hall. Even if that person came back, I didn't take credit for it. But then, Thousands of chi-refining disciples besieged my myriad Thunder Valley. I was really angry. From then on, I decided that I won't lower my head in front of anyone, no matter what. Zhen Qing sighed and said, when an ordinary man is angry, blood will splash everywhere. Because of your anger, I don't know how many Imperial Thunder Sect disciples will bleed. Without blood, there will be no awareness. Without the fall of Sky Patrol City, there will be no awareness of the Taoist sect. Xiao Hua sneered, maybe when the news of the failure of the Great Battle of Daoan's Sword comes, the cultivators of the 3 cultivation countries will really understand how unreasonable their arrogance is. You should be careful. Hearing this, Zhen Qing came to a sudden realization. The Xiao Hua before her was no longer the Qi refinement disciple who had followed her to the Feather Immortal Assembly. After the baptism of the Great Battle of Daoan's Sword, he had become a strong warrior. Although he had yet to condense his gold core, she could no longer convince him. Even Zhen Qing had a misconception that she might not be a match for Xiao Hua with his confidence. In short, I thank Martial Uncle for your concern. Xiao Hua knew that Zhen Qing was sincere and said with a smile, no matter what happens in the future, I will remember Martial Uncle's kindness. I'll remember. Zhen Qing smiled and looked at Zhan Heyu. Qian Fengju was already whispering to Zhan Heyu and was looking over. In fact, Xiao Hua said so much, but the most important reason was that he couldn't say it. As a nameless nascent soul cultivator, how could he possibly lower his head to these foundation establishment disciples? His actions were also to pave the way for the revelation of John Doe's identity. Martial nephew Xiao. As expected, Zhan Heyu called out loudly from afar, are you ready? Second senior brother. Cui Hongshan, who had been silent all this while, could not help but whisper, if it doesn't work, let's bear with it. There's no way out of enduring. Xiao Hua laughed. Fight. Only then would there be a way out. Besides, do you think your senior brother is someone who would rather die than submit? Ha ha ha. Seeing Xiao Hua actually winking at him, Cui Hongshan smiled. That's right. He was too worried. Eldest senior brother and master's wife didn't know Xiao Hua's cultivation, but how could he not know? How could someone who could kill Qin Jian and Tu Hong be afraid of a foundation establishment cultivator? The one who should be worried should be this unlucky bastard from the Heavenly Thunder Palace. Martial Uncle Zhen, this junior is ready. Xiao Hua said loudly. All right, wait for me. Qian Fengju waved his hand indifferently, indicating for Xiao Hua and Qian Yuhe to come closer. You all know the rules of the Thunder Arena, right? Yes, this junior knows. The two said in unison. Good, then this old man will not say much. You two sign the life and death contract. This old man will open the view of life and death. Qian Fengju clapped his hands, taking out a red and blue life and death contract. After waiting for the two to sign their tokens, Qian Fengju carefully put them away, opened the triangular view of life and death, and said indifferently, you all can go in. Senior brother Qian is older, please go first. Xiao Hua looked at Qian Yuhe, who had a somewhat disdainful expression, and said with a smile. Who would have thought that Qian Yuhe would shake his head? Junior brother Xiao should go first. I'm afraid you won't have the chance to enter this view of life and death again in the future. Today, this old man cannot steal your limelight. All right. Xiao Hua was not angry and said with a smile. If senior brother Qian doesn't steal this Xiao's limelight, then this Xiao will also not steal senior brother Qian's limelight. When senior brother Qian's name is known throughout the Imperial Thunder Sect, don't forget to thank this Xiao. After saying that, Xiao Hua lifted his foot and entered the red mirror, not allowing Qian Yuhe to say anything. Humph! Qian Yuhe looked at Xiao Hua's figure disappearing in the mirror, and coldly snorted. When this old man's name is known throughout the Imperial Thunder Sect, I will naturally burn incense for junior brother Xiao. You can rest assured about this. After saying that, he did not know if Xiao Hua heard him, and also rushed into the blue mirror. When Xiao Hua stepped into the mirror, his vision also turned black, and the teleportation pressure came from all directions. After a moment, the teleportation pressure disappeared, and a faint red light barrier appeared in front of Xiao Hua. Xiao Hua moved his gaze away from the lightning on the light barrier, and looked into the distance. As before, the space was bright red, and nothing could be seen clearly. Qian Yuhe, Xiao Hua, according to the usual practice, after 10 breaths, an illusion will appear in the Thunder Arena. As for what illusion, this old man does not know. You can do whatever you want in this illusion, and all magic tools and magic treasures will not be affected. Qian Fengju's voice came from the sky. If two or one of you die, then one of you will die. Or if one of you admits defeat and the other accepts. Otherwise, you can't leave the Thunder Arena. This old man has not judged a life and death battle for many years. But today, I will make an exception for you. Your fight. Not only this old man, junior brother Jianghu, and junior brother Qian Pingming can see it, but also the disciples of the other 7 lightning palaces gathered in the Life and Death Temple can see it. You can rest assured, even if the two of you do not speak, this old man, and dozens of disciples from the other palaces will act as witnesses for you. All right, this old man will not say any more. This old man wants to see who will be the last disciple to leave the Thunder Arena. After Qian Fengju finished speaking, in a moment, Xiaohua's eyes lit up. Although this light was extremely dazzling, Xiaohua only slightly squinted his eyes, and did not close them like last time. Hiss, this is. Xiaohua squinted his eyes, roughly looked around, and sucked in a breath of cold air. But in front of him was a vast expanse of yellow sand, as far as the eye could see, and the setting sun was hanging in the sky. What hit him in the face was a dry and earthy smell, as well as a biting cold wind whistling in all directions. Desert! Xiaohua had just thought of this when a gust of wild wind came from about 100 zhang away. At first, that gust of wind was only as thick as a thumb, but in a moment, it grew to several zhang in size. The wild wind rolled up the yellow sand, and directly sucked the yellow sand into the sky, unexpectedly forming a several hundred zhang tall sandstorm pillar. The entire sky, as well as the setting sun, was covered by the yellow sand. Zila-la! There was another burst of noise, and countless lightning bolts were born outside the sandstorm pillar. An extremely arrogant voice came from the sandstorm pillar and lightning. Qian Yuha's fat figure also appeared in the yellow sand. Xiaohua, your cultivation level is at the middle stage of the Foundation Establishment realm, and this old man is at the late stage of the Foundation Establishment realm. Therefore, this old man will not take advantage of you, and will absolutely not launch a sneak attack. This old man will let you make the first move. Hee, Xiaohua laughed. Although he still had not seen Qian Yuha's magic treasure, it was clear that Qian Yuha not only had the thunder attribute physique commonly seen among the disciples of the Heavenly Thunder Palace, but also had a wind attribute magic treasure. In this desert, he was the nemesis of his fire attribute magic. But did Xiaohua have the fire attribute physique when he entered the Imperial Thunder Sect? Since senior martial brother Qian is so modest, then this Xiao will not be polite. After Xiaohua finished laughing, he softly responded. He also did not take out a magic treasure. His hands rubbed together, and the magic power in his body surged as he struck out one spell after another. Rumble! The entire yellow sand ground trembled. Near the wild wind, in the space of several dozen zhang, several dozen sandstorm pillars, each as thick as a bowl, rose from the ground and pounced towards Qian Yuha like pythons. Junior martial brother Xiao, you unexpectedly looked down on this Qian. Qian Yuha saw that Xiaohua actually did not take out a magic treasure, and sneered, then this Qian will not be polite. When your blood stains the yellow sand, you must remember. In your next life, be a bit more tolerant. As Qian Yuha's voice fell, the soaring sandstorm pillar suddenly fell, unexpectedly transforming into a several zhang large hand of yellow sand that fell towards Xiaohua and the surrounding sandstorm pillars. Immediately, the wind within several dozen zhang of space calmed down, and the yellow sand also came to a standstill. It seemed that even a corner of Xiaohua's Taoist robe floated up, unable to move. TCH, including the Heavenly Thunder Palace, within the Life and Death Temple of the 8 Great Thunder Palaces, the several dozen cultivators watching the battle were all disdainful. A Heavenly Thunder Palace disciple familiar with Qian Yuha even said, Yuha, what are you doing? Why did you suddenly use the wind condensing claw? Moreover, you even used your true essence to use a secret technique? Is this the hand of a nascent soul actually something that a mid-foundation establishment disciple can withstand? It's really an unfair victory. Even Zhuo Minghui and Xiangyang's faces paled. That's right, this is the hand of a nascent soul. Even Zhuo Minghui, who is as strong as a gold core, cannot use it. Although Xiaohua's cultivation is strong, how could he be a match for the hand of a nascent soul? It seemed that at this moment, in everyone's eyes, Xiao Hua was already a dead man, someone who was about to be crushed into meat paste by the wind-condensing claw. Ha ha ha. You want to take this Zhao's life with just this specious hand of a nascent soul? Qian Yuhe, you are really too naive. Xiao Hua looked at the space imprisoned by the so-called hand of a nascent soul, as well as the several dozen sandstorm pillars that could not be moved. He laughed loudly, no longer urging his magic power to contend against the hand of a nascent soul. His entire body flashed with a blue light, and his entire body floated, like a wisp of blue smoke, soaring into the sky. Not only did he avoid the control of the hand of a nascent soul, but he also rushed to the left of the sandstorm pillar. Ah! What kind of flying technique is this? Seeing Xiao Hua's ghost-like shadow, as well as his appearance in the wind like a fish in water, even Qian Fengju was stunned. He somewhat doubtfully looked at Jianghu. It seems to be the flowing cloud movement technique. Chapter 3046. I don't know. Jianghu shook his head. However, even if Xiao Hua has this strange flying technique, it will still be difficult for him to escape from Qian Yuhe's magic treasure. Although this so-called nascent soul's hand is far inferior to a real nascent soul's hand, the sealing power is born from magic power. Xiao Hua is only in the middle stage of foundation establishment. If he doesn't have an effective magic treasure, I'm afraid it will be difficult for him to resist. Let's see Xiao Hua's magic treasure. Qian Fengju naturally saw Xiao Hua's shortcomings with a glance. Just as the two golden core cultivators were discussing in low voices, the situation on the Thunder Arena changed greatly. But seeing Xiao Hua's figure strangely approaching the wind pillar, Qian Yuhe, who was inside the wind pillar, simply disdained him and even sneered in his heart. He pointed his finger at the magic treasure with 5 fingers inside the wind pillar above his head, preparing to send out a wave of magic power to meet Xiao Hua's attack. Just as he urged his magic power and before the wind condensing claw could be activated, Xiao Hua's figure suddenly flew towards the sky. However, following his figure, dozens or even hundreds of yellow talismans fell like cotton. Yellow talismans? Really funny. Qian Yuhe almost laughed out loud. He really didn't think that in a life-and-death battle between Foundation establishment cultivators, someone would use yellow talismans. However, he still didn't dare to be negligent. He urged his magic power and yellow sand gushed out like a fountain, blocking the yellow talismans. Rumble. As soon as the magic power of the wind condensing claw touched the yellow talismans immediately exploded. Dozens or even hundreds of fireballs violently exploded, blasting the fountain-like yellow sand into pieces. What kind of yellow talisman is this? Qian Yuhe somewhat understood Xiao Hua's scheme. However, before he could urge his magic treasure again, another round of fireballs exploded around him. The lightning on the surface of the wind pillar protecting Qian Yuhe was instantly shaved off by 40%. This fireball talisman is too powerful. At this moment, Qian Yuhe wasn't afraid in his heart. He only lamented the power of Xiao Hua's fireball talismans. Rumble. Xiao Hua's fireball talismans seemed to be endless, surrounding Qian Yuhe and scattering them. Everyone outside the life and death temple was somewhat dumbfounded. They really didn't understand Xiao Hua's intentions. However, Xianxia, who was taught a lesson by Xiao Hua's fireball talismans in the past, somewhat understood Xiao Hua's thoughts. Eat this Zhao's staff. Qian Yuhe's figure rapidly flew towards the sky. Just as he was about to dodge this round of fireball talismans, he heard Xiao Hua's angry roar. He hurriedly scanned the area with his divine sense. Indeed, Xiao Hua was holding a huge spiked club in his hand, and the spiked club was the nascent soul's hand. Whoa! A mournful wind howled. Boom! The nascent soul's hand was actually smashed into pieces by the spiked club. Following the destruction of the nascent soul's hand, Xiao Hua's figure didn't stop at all as he rushed towards Qian Yuhe's head. A powerful force enveloped Qian Yuhe from afar. Qian Yuhe was greatly alarmed as he hurriedly used his wind-congealing claw to block the mace. Lightning flashed around his body as he clearly wanted to use his lightning evasion to escape from this shocking strike. Rumble. Just as his figure flashed, dozens of fireballs appeared, shaking his body. Pow! A loud sound that shook the heavens and the earth resounded. The magic treasure, Wind Condensing Claw, was actually struck down by the spiked club. Its brilliance was extremely dim, and it was obvious that it had suffered damage. What shocked everyone the most was that Xianxua's figure was actually sent tumbling in midair by a fireball talisman. Not only was he in an extremely sorry state, even his complexion was pale. How could a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator catch the jade talisman that Xiaohua hid inside the fireball talisman without any preparation? Oh no! Qian Fengju was greatly alarmed as he glanced at Qian Pingming at almost the same time. Qian Pingming was also shocked. My life is over. Even Xianxua's blood and qi were surging due to the fireball talisman. Coupled with the wind-congealing claw being damaged, his meridians were also damaged. His heart turned pale with fright. You can go to hell. Xiaohua, who was in mid-air, let out a sinister laugh. He waved his left hand, and a flaming flying carpet rushed to Qianxua's head. Qianxua's quintessential essence quickly moved to resist. However, just as his quintessential essence surged, it was immediately wrapped up by the flaming carpet and could only barely move. Rumble. Dozens of yellow talismans flew out, shaking Qianxua, who was unable to use his magic power, until he was continuously rolling under the flaming carpet. However, no matter how he rolled, he was unable to escape from the flaming carpet's range. Moreover, as the fireballs exploded one after another, the protective brilliance around Qianxua's body became increasingly faint. Boom! In the midst of the explosion, countless flames sprang out from the flaming carpet and surrounded Qianxua. In the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the brilliance around Qianxua's body was extinguished, and his Taoist robe was also unexpectedly burned. When the Taoist robe fell to the ground, Qianxua's arms, legs, neck, and a small part of his back that were as white as a female cultivator's. The other places were covered by a protective magic treasure. It was unknown whether Xiaohua's flaming carpet couldn't burn them, or if Xiaohua didn't deliberately burn them. Qianxua, do you want to die or live? Xiaohua urged the flames to burn Qianxua's protective magic treasure as he coldly said. This old man. Qianxua was somewhat hesitant. That's right, who would want to die? However, now that he had been humiliated to such an extent by Xiaohua, how could he shrink back? Fine, since you don't want to live, this Xiao will fulfill your wish. Xiaohua urged the flames and coldly said, this Xiao will first break your protective magic treasure, then burn you to ashes. This old man is willing to live. Hearing that Xiaohua actually wanted to burn his final magic treasure, Qianxua couldn't bear it anymore. The humiliation at that time was 100 times more humiliating than now. Moreover, there were other cultivators in the life and death temple of the 8 great lightning palaces watching. Humph, you should have done this long ago, Xiaohua sneered. His left hand hooked, and the spiked club smoothly swung out, hitting Qianxua's slightly fat buttocks. Qianxua's physical body flew out from the flaming carpet with a whoosh, turning into a shooting star that charged into the yellow sand, landing somewhere unknown. Martial Uncle Zhen. Xiaohua put away the spiked club and the flaming carpet, not even looking at where Qianxua went. He could only bow and say, Qianxua admits defeat. This junior also doesn't want his life. Please be the witness. I request Hall Master Qian to open the life and death temple. Everyone was dumbfounded. No one would have thought that this would be the outcome. Maybe some people thought that Xiaohua would win. Maybe some people thought that Xiaohua would establish his might and kill Qianxua in the Thunder Arena. But no one thought that Xiaohua would win in this way. Not to mention those disciples who thought that Qianxua would win early on. However, with Xiaohua's way of handling things, even if he didn't kill Qianxua, what was the difference between that and killing Qianxua? For a moment, those disciples who had already sent out the challenge jade slips and came to watch today felt somewhat disdainful in their hearts. They all had a kind of, I would rather die feeling in their hearts, feeling that Qianxua was too cowardly. However, when this kind of mournful feeling emerged, everyone suddenly stared blankly. That's right, even if you die, you won't surrender. But if you don't surrender, even if you don't surrender, Xiaohua will burn your Taoist robes, burn your personal magic treasures, and expose your secrets in front of the crowd of onlookers. This kind of humiliation, even if you die, you won't be able to wash it clean. Even if you die, your face, your dignity in front of your disciples, your image in front of your fellow Taoists, will forever be a laughingstock, right? Then, in this kind of situation, will you die? Or will you suffer this kind of humiliation? A kind of indescribable shudder involuntarily emerged from their hearts. All the cultivators looked at each other in dismay. Outside the Heavenly Thunder Palace's Temple of Life and Death, Jianghu's face carried an indescribable expression as he looked at Qian Fengju and Qian Pingming of the Heavenly Thunder Palace. These two golden core cultivators of the Heavenly Thunder Palace had ugly expressions. Qian Yuha's skin was exposed. Although it was Xiao Hua who slapped Qian Yuha's face, this slap also hit the Heavenly Thunder Palace's face. It was even worse than killing Qian Yuha. In their hearts, the two really hoped that Xiao Hua would happily kill Qian Yuha instead of humiliating him like this. However, they didn't seem to have anything to say. After all, in the whole fight, Xiao Hua's performance was very normal. Although Xiao Hua didn't bring out the fire carpet at the beginning, that was because Xiao Hua was only a middle foundation establishment cultivator. He was afraid that his magic power wouldn't be able to defeat the late foundation establishment Qian Yuha, so he chose to use the common fireball talisman. Of course, Xiao Hua's fireball talisman was really powerful, especially the fireball that could make a late foundation establishment cultivator tumble. This somewhat exceeded the two's expectations. However, the two didn't discover anything unusual about this fireball through their divine senses. As for Xiao Hua using the wolf tooth club to defeat Qian Yuha's magic treasure, the wind condensing claw, that was even more normal. Xiao Hua's divine power had already been revealed during the Feather Immortal assembly. What made the two most embarrassed and speechless was that Xiao Hua used the fire carpet and the fireball talisman to burn Qian Yuha's Taoist robe. After all, Xiao Hua was a middle foundation establishment cultivator. It was somewhat difficult for him to destroy the protective magic treasure of the late foundation establishment Qian Yuha, so he could only wear it down a little bit. During this process, the Taoist robe was inevitably burned. Of course, normally, when the Taoist robe was burned, the protective magic treasure would also be destroyed. Qian Yuha would either die or counterattack, so his skin wouldn't be exposed. However, it was still that sentence. Who told Xiao Hua's magic power to be insufficient? Being able to burn the Taoist robe was already not bad. If the protective magic treasure was also burned, then Xiao Hua could only be given more time. And during this time, Qian Yuha's privacy would be exposed at a glance. Of course, the two were also somewhat baffled. Why didn't Qian Yuha struggle or counterattack during the process of his Taoist robe being burned? However, they also wouldn't ask because Xiao Hua already planned to attribute the power of imprisonment to the magic treasure, the fire carpet. Our magic treasure is formidable and can imprison a cultivator with a higher realm than us. What's so strange about this? As for Xiao Hua's wind evasion, the Imperial Thunder Sect's forte was the lightning evasion. If any disciple could comprehend it by analogy and obtain another opportunity, who could say anything? Even in the 8 great thunder palaces, it wasn't as if there weren't any disciples who understood the wind evasion. Chapter 3047. In short, Xiao Hua's difficult victory, and the humiliation Qian Yuha suffered during this difficult process left both of them speechless. They wouldn't blame Xiao Hua for hitting Qian Yuha's fat buttocks instead of killing him. Qian Fengju's face darkened. He looked at Qian Pingming and asked loudly, "Junior brother Qian, you're Qian Yuha's witness. Do you have any objections?" "I think." Qian Pingming thought for a while and said, "Xiao Hua is only a disciple in the middle stage of foundation establishment, and he had just entered foundation establishment when he entered the Taoist sword battle. That is to say, Xiao Hua entered the middle stage of foundation establishment in a dozen years, which is a rare disciple in our thunder-controlling sect. However, he just entered the middle stage of foundation establishment, and his spiritual power is comparable to a disciple in the late stage of foundation establishment. I think it's a bit strange." "Junior brother Zhen, what do you think?" Qian Fengju asked Jianghu. Jianghu raised his eyebrows and said with a faint smile, I don't think it's strange. At the very beginning, Xiao Hua used a yellow talisman to face the enemy, while Qian Yuha used a transcendent artifact from the very beginning, congealing the so-called Yuanying hand. Xiao Hua avoided the sharp edge of the attack, and in the end, he suppressed the enemy. His transcendence energy might not be comparable to Qian Yuha's, but it's normal for him to use it appropriately, especially Xiao Hua's magic weapon. Qian Yuha's magic weapon can form the nascent soul hand, and Xiao Hua's fire blanket can confine the spiritual power of a disciple in the late stage of foundation establishment. How about this? If junior brother Qian thinks it's inappropriate, don't let Xiao Hua and Qian Yuha come out. Let them fight to the death. Ahem. Junior brother Zhen, Qian Fengju glanced at Jianghu with displeasure and coughed. Our thunder-controlling sect lost many disciples in the Taoist sword battle. Now, we don't know if the tens of thousands of disciples in Sky Patrol City are dead or alive. Now, every disciple of our thunder-controlling sect is extremely precious. How can we lose one just like that? It's rare for Xiaohua to stop while he's ahead. Since the outcome has been decided, why must there be a fight to the death? The thunder field doesn't restrict life and death, but it doesn't have to be a fight to the death. Yes, I know. Senior Marshal Brother Qian is in charge of the Diligent Thunder Hall. It is precisely because you understand the essence of the competitive thunder plane. I am enlightened. Jianghu hurriedly bowed and said with a smile, since Xiaohua has already won, it's easy for I to act as a witness. I'll listen to Senior Marshal Brother's instructions. Good, since the two notaries have no objections, I declare Xiaohua the winner. Qian Fengju said. Jianghu and Qian Pingming looked at each other and nodded. Xiaohua, who was in the thunder arena, was already muttering in his heart. He remembered that when he defeated Yan Xiefeng for the first time on the thunder arena, his view of life and death was quickly opened. Could it be this time? Do we really have to fight to the death? Xiaohua coldly thought as he stared at the sand-covered illusion. Fortunately, a moment later, a red and blue brilliance flashed, and a door to the Temple of Life and Death opened. Xiaohua turned his head and looked into the distance. He was too lazy to release his divine perception. Who cared about Qian Yuhe's life and death? He stepped into the red brilliance with a lift of his foot. Immediately, the red and blue brilliance of the Temple of Life and Death flourished, abruptly filling the entire heaven and earth. The entire sand-covered illusion collapsed with a rumbling sound, and everything disappeared in the red and blue light. Just like last time, Xiaohua's eyes lit up, and his figure appeared in front of the triangular Temple of Life and Death. Qian Fengju and Jianghu met him, and that Qian Pingming had already disappeared. Xiaohua looked around. Not only had Qian Pingming disappeared, even the dozen or so Foundation establishment cultivators who came with Qian Yuhe had also disappeared. Disciple greets the two hall masters. Xiaohua bowed and thanked them. Many thanks to the two seniors for their notaries. N. Qian Fengju nodded, seemingly encouraging him. Xiaohua, I'm very gratified that you were able to hold back at the crucial moment and not take Qian Yuhe's life as I thought. Hall Master Zhan and I will report everything that happened today to the Great Thunder Hall. Xiaohua's face was filled with panic as he said in astonishment. Junior's matter actually alarmed the Great Thunder Hall. I really deserve to die. I ask the two hall masters to report this to the Great Thunder Hall and not take this matter as Junior's fault. Right. Does Hall Master Darren feel that Junior was wrong? Qian Fengju didn't like Xiaohua's eccentricity, and said indifferently, is it your merit or your fault? Both were judged by the Great Thunder Hall. I only judge the outcome of the Thunder Arena. Oh, that's good. Xiaohua let out a sigh of relief, and said to himself, since it's like this, Junior will choose another challenge from the Jade Slips tonight. It's just that. Marshal Uncle Zhen, I'll have to trouble you to come to the Thunder Arena again tomorrow. No matter, Jianghu said with a smile. Which Thunder Hall's challenge letter you choose, just have the Gen Thunder Hall disciple inform me. I also want to see more of this extremely interesting life and death battle. Yes, Xiaohua bowed, and the disciple understood. I'll have the disciple inform Marshal Uncle tonight. We'll return to the Great Thunder Hall to report to the Hall Master. Xiaohua, you should also go back and rest. Thousands of disciples' Taoist robes will be stripped by you, so you should properly conserve your energy. Jianghu said to Xiaohua with a smile, then raised his hand to signal Qian Fengju to leave the Temple of Life and Death together. Qian Fengju nodded. After taking 2 steps, he seemed to have thought of something, and turned his head, saying, are there any disciples from the Heavenly Thunder Hall, Mythical Thunder Hall, Sun Thunder Hall, or Converging Thunder Hall in the Challenge Jade Slips? Disciple doesn't know. Disciple just randomly picked, whoever it is. Xiaohua said with a smile, Disciple's cultivation is like this, and Disciple's physique is also of the fire attribute, so I can only use these methods. Burning the Taoist robes is also something that can't be helped. Hearing this, Qian Fengju didn't ask any more, and quickly walked away. Hee. As soon as the two Jindan left, Cui Hongshan came over first, and gave a thumbs up with his right hand, saying with a smile, Second senior brother, you're really good. Xiaohua shrugged innocently, saying, Junior brother Cui, I only have these few methods. The first time I went to the Thunder Arena to duel with an aura-refining disciple, and this second time with a foundation-building disciple is still the same. I also don't have any other choice. However, Junior brother Cui, when you pick the jade slip of a challenger tonight, my myriad Thunder Valley should give them a friendly reminder, telling them to wear more Taoist robes. Yes, Junior brother understands. Junior brother will definitely give them a special reminder. Cui Hongshan's voice was very loud, and he answered very excitedly. On the side, Zhen Qing and Zhua Minghui smiled bitterly when they heard this. They knew that this kind of method would offend people even more than killing them, but what better method was there? Xiaohua returned to Myriad Thunder Valley from the Heavenly Thunder Palace under the escort of everyone. Along the way, several people were chatting and laughing, but the 8 great thunder palaces were once again boiling. This boiling was even more intense than last night's boiling. There were many people who were paying attention to this life-or-death duel. Of course, there weren't many cultivators who were able to witness it with their own eyes. However, before Xiaohua returned to Myriad Thunder Valley, the result of this life-or-death duel, Chen Yuha's embarrassing state of defeat, and even this late-stage foundation-building cultivator's jade-white skin had already spread throughout the entire Imperial Thunder Sect. Some people had even begun to forget about the great Dao sword battle that was far away from them, and placed their attention on this duel, as well as the duels that would be held every day in the future. When Xiaohua and the others returned to Myriad Thunder Valley, Xianxia and the others were already waiting outside the valley. Obviously, they had already received the news, and each of them was glowing with excitement. They were even more excited than if they had eaten spiritual pills. Adoptive father. Xianxia flew over from afar and shouted, Boy, I thought you would definitely kill that guy, but I didn't expect you to be so soft-hearted and merciful. Moreover, it was just that guy's butt. If it was a boy, it would be strange if his butt wasn't swollen. Leader. Xiangyang looked at the Heavenly Thunder Palace disciples beside him and fiercely berated Xianxia. Is there anyone who speaks like that? Father, they forced my Myriad Thunder Valley, and they challenged adoptive father. What's wrong with this boy saying these things? Xianxia smiled and said, Boy, this is still considered light. You don't know how many laughingstocks are circulating in Heavenly Thunder Palace right now. You shut up. Xiangyang berated, if you have the ability, you can also go. Unfortunately, before he could finish speaking, Yan Qinglian hurriedly interrupted, Husband, what are you saying? He. Xiangyang also came to his senses. How could he hope for his son to go to the Thunder Plains? On the side, Zhua Minghui was both happy and sighing. She was happy because based on Xiaohua's bravery today, not to mention a challenge from 2,000 Foundation Establishment disciples, even if it was a challenge from 2,000 late-stage Foundation Establishment disciples, Xiaohua would definitely be able to handle it. In other words, in the future, Myriad Thunder Valley would definitely not be looked down upon and bullied by others. Otherwise, if Xiaohua said, Go to the Thunder Plains, who would dare to go? However, he was worried because Xiaohua's actions could be considered to have offended all 7 Heavenly Thunder Palaces. Myriad Thunder Valley's situation. Who knew what it would be like? Dui Qiming, who had come to welcome them, seemed to have seen through Zhua Minghui's misgivings. He flew to Zhua Minghui's side and whispered, Master's wife, don't worry. Our Myriad Thunder Valley has second senior martial brother's bravery, so no one will dare to bully us again. Moreover, besides second senior martial brother and eldest senior martial brother, don't we still have Hong Shen and I? We will use second senior martial brother's fame to raise our Myriad Thunder Valley's reputation in the Thunder Palace and even the Imperial Thunder Sect. Using carrots and carrots is the true way of life. Alas! This old one is indeed old. Zhua Minghui pondered for a moment and knew that Dui Qiming's words were true. She smiled bitterly and said, Your master's temper is also not good. In the future, Myriad Thunder Valley will depend on you. Don't worry, master's wife. Dui Qiming then pointed at Li and Wu Qing and said with a smile, There's also Li and Wu Qing. They seem to be more powerful than second senior martial brother when he was young. Our Myriad Thunder Valley will definitely shake the Imperial Thunder Sect in the future. Alas, Wu Qi, when Wu Qing was mentioned, Zhua Minghui saw that the others were all in high spirits. Only Wu Qing's expression remained indifferent. He was completely different from an ordinary youth. Zhua Minghui sighed again. Right at this moment, Xiaohua suddenly shouted, "That's right, Li. Tell the disciples of Thunder Palace that they don't have to be on duty tonight." Why? Xianxia was just happy when he suddenly froze. Chapter 3048. Hee. Just do as foster father says. Xiaohua chuckled and continued to instruct. In addition, you will guard this outer valley at night. From now on, the challenge jade slips on the jade table will be worth 100 top-grade spirit stones. Remember, this is the only one, no bargaining. Ha! Boy understands. Boy understands. Xianxia laughed, but then asked, isn't 100 spirit stones too little? It's too easy for them. How about 1,000 top-grade spirit stones? No need for so much, let's go slowly. Xiaohua chuckled again. Moreover, no one will be desperate enough to do anything. Understood. Xianxia somersaulted in the air, extremely excited. Shen Quan. Xiaohua instructed again, you wait outside Martial Uncle's cave, and bring all the magic tools and cultivation methods that you are good at. At this point, Xiaohua scratched his head, turned around and asked, eldest senior brother, junior brother Cui, you two don't have any objections, right? No, we don't have any objections, none at all. Xiangyang and Cui Hongshan came to their senses and hurriedly replied. Good, Xiaohua stretched and said in a long voice. I'm bored, let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see if there are any shameless people who want me to strip them. Yes, disciple thanks Martial Uncle. Zhen Quan and the others also came to their senses at this time and hurriedly bowed. The eyes of the dozens of disciples were filled with excitement. Soon after, Xiaohua returned to the cave. Zhen Quan and the others were waiting outside the cave. One by one they went in. Xiaohua checked their cultivations and asked them about their cultivation in detail. Some of them were bestowed with secret techniques, some were bestowed with magic treasures and so on. Of course, for these disciples, Xiaohua would not teach them the dragon transformation art, god traction art, and other secret techniques. But these pointers had already benefited these disciples greatly. Seeing them come out of the cave one by one and immediately fly away to find a place to cultivate, it was clear how much they had benefited. More than a dozen disciples, each one was checked, each one was taught according to their aptitude. For Xiaohua, this was definitely the first time, and the time spent was not short. However, Xianxia didn't come over to report during this period of time. Xiaohua naturally understood that his plan of killing the chicken to scare the monkey had succeeded, so he simply ignored the matter of the bet. He had originally planned to slowly guide these disciples in their cultivation, but now he might as well guide them all at once. After waiting for the last disciple, Fan Yumming, to leave the cave mansion respectfully with a magic weapon, Xiaohua got up from the jade bed and stretched his body. Looking at the dazzling array of cave mansions, he sighed and said, alas, that bastard Qian Diheng. I wonder how he is doing in the Sky Patrol City. His cultivation was only at the foundation establishment stage. Even if he was captured, nothing would happen to him. Furthermore, the sword cultivator had only killed Sage Xue and not Sage Quangtian. He had already seen through their intentions. As long as the sword cultivators were not forced to a dead end, their lives would be safe. Brother, it's not that this Xiao doesn't want to save you. This Xiao really doesn't have the ability to do so. I hope you can live well. This Xiao still needs you to sell his rejuvenation pills. Immediately, Xiaohua's divine sense swept out of the cave mansion. He smiled and said to himself, well, the matter of the bet is over. This Xiao can go into seclusion. With that, Xiaohua walked out of the cave mansion. Xianxia was standing respectfully outside the cave mansion. When he saw Xiaohua, his face immediately showed admiration. He bowed and said, Godfather, this boy admires you to death. How did you know that these cultivators would definitely come to my myriad Thunder Valley? How did you know that these cultivators would definitely take out 100 top-grade spirit stones to exchange for the challenge jade slips? What's so difficult about that? Xiaohua curled his lips. The humiliation of having your Taoist robe stripped off or 100 top-grade spirit stones. Which would you choose? Besides, no one knew who had issued those challenge jade slips. Even if they came to take the jade slips, I'm afraid it's not them. And The first to come will definitely be female cultivators. Hee hee. Xianxia clapped his hands and said, Godfather has guessed it. At first, there were only a few fourth-layer aura-refining female disciples, but when they heard that it was 100 top-grade spirit stones, they all turned back. In less than an hour, the aura-refining disciples came one by one. Each of them took out spirit stones and transmitted their voice to the boy. One hand exchanged spirit stones, and the other hand exchanged jade slips. Just thinking about that kind of tacit cooperation makes the boy happy. In fact, the most difficult thing is the number of spirit stones. Xiaohua said indifferently, without us, we wouldn't be willing, but with them, this 100 is the most appropriate. Moreover, you have to be careful in the future. Although you have something on these 1,800 foundation building masters and they will be afraid of you in the future, if there's a chance, they'll also harm you. Godfather's way of doing things has its advantages and disadvantages. Consider it a tempering for you. Don't blame Godfather. Xianxia's heart trembled. He was only thinking about the hundreds of thousands of top-grade spirit stones and neglected a more important matter. However, after thinking about it, in this myriad Thunder Valley, besides Xiaohua, he was the only one who could bear this heavy responsibility. He bowed and said, Boy understands Godfather's painstaking efforts. Boy knows how to deal with it. Good. Xiaohua nodded. To become a grandmaster in the lightning-controlling sect or Xiaoyu continent, cultivation is one thing, but dealing with people and scheming are even more important. Godfather isn't good at scheming and only knows how to cultivate. I'm afraid he won't be able to achieve anything great. The matter of Myriad Thunder Valley depends on your martial Uncle Chui and you guys. Hee hee, Godfather is too modest. Just looking at today's challenge jade slips. Boy's thinking is far worse than Godfather's. Xianxia said with a smile. These are all minor details. They don't count for anything. Xiaohua waved his hand. Godfather is just experienced and experienced a lot. He knows these things, that's all. Godfather knows, so naturally he can see through everything. Xianxia said with a smile. You don't understand. Xiaohua shook his head. This is nature. Some people like it, but although Godfather understands, Godfather isn't willing to do it. Godfather disdains to do it. With that, Xiaohua raised his head and looked at the landscape of Myriad Thunder Valley. Even if Godfather is now the head of the lightning-controlling sect, Godfather won't be willing. Godfather just wants to cultivate quietly. Hee hee, Godfather, you're the one who has no desires. Xianxia said and handed over the storage bag he had been carrying. Here are 150,000 top-grade spirit stones. Godfather, keep them well. Tisk. 150,000 top-grade spirit stones. Xiaohua glanced at the storage bag and didn't take it. Isn't it too easy to earn these spirit stones? If I had known, I would have delayed for a few more days. That's not right. 1,800 challenge jade slips, each of which costs 100 top-grade spirit stones. How come there are only 150,000 top-grade spirit stones? Hee hee. Xianxia stuck out his tongue and said, Boy's friends from Zhenlei Palace came over. In addition, some female disciples from Lightning Palace looked really pitiful, so the boy acted on his own initiative. Ha ha ha, that's how it should be, that's how it should be. Xiaohua clapped and laughed. He waved his hand and said, Divide these spirit stones into 2 halves. Give one half to your father and the other half to your martial Uncle Chui. Godfather, you should also leave some for yourself. Xianxia wasn't surprised and said with a smile, Godfather is about to recruit disciples himself. You don't care about spirit stones, but your disciples also need them. Who said Godfather doesn't care about spirit stones? Xiaohua glared at Xianxia and said, Godfather is giving you spirit stones now. You're just helping him look after them. When Godfather needs them, he can ask you for them at any time. Hee hee, boy knows. Xianxia knew that Xiaohua was just joking. Xiaohua had brought back countless spirit stones, pills, and magic treasures during the Daozord War. It could be said that everything in the Myriad Thunder Valley belonged to Xiaohua. These hundreds of thousands of spirit stones were nothing. However, just as Xianxia was about to put the storage pouch back into his bosom, an indifferent voice was heard. Second senior brother, there's an order from Great Thunder Hall. Mother ordered me to call you back. Xiaohua raised his head and looked over. It was Wu Qing with an indifferent expression. What order? Xiaohua stepped into the air and asked casually. Wu Qing shook his head. Little brother doesn't know. The person who sent the order was dressed in a camouflage robe. He only said that there was an order from Great Thunder Hall, and that he had to wait until second senior brother went over before reading it out. Xiaohua was greatly surprised, asking, Did you check the person's token? It couldn't be someone else impersonating him, right? No. Wu Qing said concisely. That person is holding Great Thunder Hall's token. All right, this is strange. The person who sent the order is actually so mysterious. Xiaohua was bewildered, arriving at the Immortal's cave first. Sure enough, at the head of the Immortal's cave, there was a cultivator dressed in a camouflage robe. Xiaohua's divine sense couldn't see through him. Zhua Minghui, Xianxia and the others accompanied him at the side. Disciple Xiaohua greets martial uncle messenger. Xiaohua knew that the other party was definitely a Jindan disciple, so he hurriedly bowed in greeting. Xiaohua, that cultivator stood up, stretching out his hand and taking out a silk cloth from his bosom, saying loudly, This old man has come to pass on Great Thunder Hall's order. Disciple obeys. Xiaohua lowered his head and replied. Shocking Thunder Hall's disciple Xiaohua was arrogant due to his meritorious service, refusing to accept Great Thunder Hall's order of punishment. When returning to Myriad Thunder Valley, regardless of his status as a Foundation establishment cultivator, he injured an aura-refining disciple. Furthermore, in spite of the current life and death crisis of our Imperial Thunder sect, he rashly provoked a fight, challenging the disciples of the 8 Great Thunder Palaces to a duel on the Thunder Plains. Although Xiaohua performed meritorious service in the Great Sword Battle, he doesn't know right from wrong and doesn't know righteousness. Xiaohua is specially punished to be on guard duty in Myriad Thunder Valley for 3 years, to go into seclusion and reflect on his mistakes. He is not allowed to take half a step out of Myriad Thunder Valley, and Xiaohua is also punished to be deprived of his spirit stone supply for 3 years. This is to serve as a warning to others. Xiaohua stared blankly, almost jumping up from the ground. This order of punishment was really inexplicable. It was already pretty good that he didn't kill these 1,800 cultivators, but not only did they not reward him, they even punished him. Wasn't this Great Thunder Hall really inverting black and white too much? Xiaohua, do you have any objections? That cultivator said coldly. However, his voice had passed through the camouflage robe, so not much emotion could be heard from it. Chapter 3049. I'm convinced, I'm convinced. Xiangyang hurriedly shouted, and without waiting for Xiaohua to speak, he ran to Xiaohua's side. Xiaohua, do you have any objections? That cultivator ignored Xiangyang and continued to ask Xiaohua. Forget it. Xiaohua sighed and said very disheartenedly, Disciple doesn't have any objections. Disciple will accept any punishment from Great Thunder Hall. And that's good. That cultivator nodded and suddenly asked, How much spirit stones do you get for a year? Xiaohua was startled. Looking at that cultivator, he lazily shook his head and said with a sneer, Whatever you want, it's my spirit stones that will be confiscated. What does that have to do with you? Martial uncle. Xiangyang hurriedly said with a smile, Disciple knows. No need. That cultivator raised his hand and stopped Xiangyang, saying, I only know that even with 3 years of spirit stones, I'm afraid it won't be 100 top-grade spirit stones, right? Hee. Xiaohua's mouth slightly curled. He glanced at this cultivator who pretended to be mysterious and didn't answer. Zhua Minghui, you all go out first. I have something to say to Xiaohua. Then that cultivator handed the punishment order from Great Thunder Hall to Xiaohua and said to Zhua Minghui and the others. Yes, disciple understands. Zhua Minghui naturally didn't dare to be negligent. She gave Xiaohua a look, indicating for him to not get angry, and then led Xiangyang and the others out of the cave. After Zhua Minghui and the others left, Xiaohua still asked indifferently, Does Senior have something to say to Disciple alone? Hee, that cultivator said with a smile. Naturally, I have to thank Junior Brother Xiao for saving my life. Saying that, that cultivator removed the camouflage cloth. It was Chen Qinghua with a smile on his face. Oh, so it's senior brother Qinghua. Seeing that it was Chen Qinghua, Xiaohua didn't dare to be arrogant anymore. He hurriedly bowed and said, I didn't know it was senior brother, I hope you can forgive me. Hee, it's fine, it's fine. Chen Qinghua hurriedly supported Xiaohua and said, I came here to thank you for your kindness. Because I can't tell anyone about my return to the Imperial Thunder Sect, I'm wearing a camouflage robe. It's normal that you don't know. With that, Chen Qinghua bowed to show his respect. How could Xiaohua let him do that? He hurriedly supported her. However, Chen Qinghua didn't want to give up. He activated his magic power, and light flashed around him. He wanted to kneel. Ha ha ha, Xiaohua laughed. Senior brother Qinghua, if it was in the past, it would have been fine if you had bowed. But now, because of you, this little brother has entered the Imperial Thunder Sect, and because of the Thunder-Devouring Pearl, this little brother has obtained the sect master's favor. Everything this little brother has now, including his cultivation, was bestowed upon me by senior brother. How could I possibly have you thank me? Chen Qinghua activated his magic power, but saw that Xiaohua's magic power didn't fluctuate at all. He still blocked him. He couldn't help but sigh. Junior brother Xiao. Back then, you were only a 4th level Qi refining loose cultivator, and I was already in the late stage of foundation building. Now, you're already in the middle stage of foundation building, and I'm still at the same cultivation level as a few decades ago. I don't even have the power to bow to you. Thinking about it, I'm ashamed. How many decades can a person have in life? With that, Chen Qinghua stood up and sighed. Senior brother Qinghua, you don't have to be so sad. Xiaohua smiled. Your great contribution is unique in the Imperial Thunder Sect. Even this little brother, and that mysterious Yuanian cultivator Wu Ming, can't compare. Others may not know, but how could this little brother not know? For the sake of the Imperial Thunder Sect, you made such a sacrifice. How could the sect master treat you badly? How could the Imperial Thunder Sect treat you badly? Besides, senior brother Qinghua has been dormant for dozens of years. The bottleneck of foundation building has long disappeared. If you want to break through to the golden core, I'm afraid it'll only take you 10 years? 10 years later, this little brother will still have to call you senior. Thanks for junior brother's auspicious words. I hope so. Chen Qinghua looked at the entrance of the cave and smiled bitterly. Minghui is also a golden core now. That good-for-nothing helplessness is also in seclusion to break through to the golden core. I'm still in the foundation building. If it weren't for this bewilderment, I wouldn't have the face to come to the myriad Thunder Valley. Hearing Chen Qinghua call his master good-for-nothing, Xiaohua's face changed slightly. But thinking about the relationship between helplessness and Zhua Minghui, his master could only helplessly listen to Chen Qinghua. Therefore, Xiaohua just smiled and didn't say anything. Actually, when this old man gave you the thunder-devouring bead, sealed the bright flower pill into your meridians, and even gave you this old man's token, it was all because I wanted you to complete the mission that day and accept me as your disciple. Chen Qinghua continued, Unfortunately, you didn't take my token to enter the Imperial Thunder Sect. Instead, you became Helplessness's disciple. When I heard about it, I was also very regretful. Today, even if I want to thank you for your kindness, it's hard for me to do so. Senior brother Qinghua. Xiaohua said seriously, I've already made it clear. I entered the Imperial Thunder Sect because of the fate you gave me. That's the cause. Today, I invited you back from the Kai family of Luyang to return the favor you gave me back then. That's the effect. Now that we've settled the karma, senior brother, please don't say thanks again. Haha, fine. Now that we're both disciples of the Imperial Thunder Sect and fellow disciples, if I say too much, we'll be estranged. Chen Qinghua laughed. I won't mention this again. Good. This is my senior brother Qinghua. You're as straightforward as when I first met you. Xiaohua said while clapping his hands. However, junior brother Xiao. Chen Qinghua laughed again. You still need to change some of your temper. Xiaohua understood that Chen Qinghua wanted to talk about the Great Thunder Palace, so he gave a non-committal reply. Then he asked, Right, senior brother Qinghua, since you've already returned to the Imperial Thunder Sect, you're already safe. Why did you come to the Myriad Thunder Valley in camouflage? Don't tell me you're afraid of my master's wife bumping into you. Hee, if it's something I need to hide from others, I can't say a word. But to junior brother Xiao, I can still reveal a thing or two. Qian Qinghua had to answer, that thunder-devouring bead is extremely important to the Imperial Thunder Sect, but I'm only a Foundation Establishment disciple. The Great Thunder Palace and the Great Thunder Palace are very confused about this. So, the thunder-devouring bead hasn't been fully used yet. Ahem, that's all I have to say. Yes, I understand. Xiao Hua laughed. I'm afraid I have to take a good look at senior brother Qinghua's whereabouts during those days. Good. Qian Qinghua laughed. I can't say much about the thunder-devouring bead, but I still have to say about you. So before Xiao Hua could speak, he continued. In fact, when you returned to the Sky Thunder Peak that day, the Great Thunder Palace was already like an ant on a hot pan about the fall of the disciples of the Sky Patrol City. They didn't know how to attract the attention of the disciples. Perhaps no one thought of putting this big hat on your head, but you just happened to bump into it. Looking at Qian Qinghua's earnest advice, Xiao Hua was a little helpless and could only listen. He knew that some nascent soul masters of the Great Thunder Palace asked Qian Qinghua to say this. In the eyes of the palace masters, you've already gained a lot of merits. Even if you lose some, it's nothing. After all, your qualifications are still shallow. In fact, just like what you said just now, I lost dozens of years, but I gained more than dozens of years for the Imperial Thunder Sect. I think it's worth it, and even you think it's worth it. Then why don't you be a fool for the Imperial Thunder Sect? Alas, anyone can say this, but when it comes to me, how can it be as simple as it sounds? Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. Moreover, a group of nascent soul masters put this hat on my head without saying anything. Who would be happy? Since it's already been put on, why do you still want to stir up trouble? Qian Qinghua said again. The matter of you striking several thousand qi refining disciples made the Great Thunder Palace furious. They were just about to punish you, but you tactfully ran away. When those Foundation Establishment cultivators challenged you, it's fine if you ignored them. Who would have thought that you would come back and challenge 2,000 people at the same time? You say the Great Thunder Palace won't get angry again? Also, defeating Chen Yuha is one thing, but you even burned his Taoist robe. You say, the Heavenly Thunder Palace lost all face. Can the Palace Master of my Heavenly Thunder Palace leave it at that? In addition, you used the challenge jade slip to exchange for spirit stones. Only you could think of that. You say the Great Thunder Palace won't punish you and won't let you go into seclusion to reflect on your mistakes. Is that possible? To tell the truth, this punishment is already very light. If it were according to some people's suggestion, I'm afraid they'd have to abolish your cultivation. Humph, Xiao Hua sneered. Fortunately, Reverend Lei Meng and Fairy Yao Feng were against it. Fairy Xianxia also felt that this kind of punishment was too severe. Only then did she raise the board high up and lightly drop it. Isn't going into seclusion to reflect on your mistakes for 3 years exactly the time to comprehend what you've gained from the Great Battle of Daoan's Sword over the past 10 years? Presumably, junior brother will definitely be able to step into the late stage of Foundation establishment 3 years later. Qian Qinghua said with a smile. Of course, junior brother Xiao, this is also a solid warning from the Great Thunder Palace. In these 3 years, you really must not take half a step out of the myriad Thunder Valley, and really must not make the slightest mistake again. Otherwise, even Reverend Lei Meng and Fairy Yao Feng won't be able to protect you anymore. And many thanks, senior brother Qinghua. Xiao Hua nodded. No matter how arrogant this disciple is, I'm still only a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect. How can I overturn the heavens? Now that everything has been settled, I'm preparing to go into seclusion in the myriad Thunder Valley to reflect on my mistakes. That's right. Chen Yuha's buttocks have been spanked, and the 100,000 spirit stones have also been collected. Who would dare to disturb your seclusion? Qian Qinghua laughed mischievously and said in a low voice, Tell me the truth, is Chen Yuha's buttocks white? Senior brother, how would I know? Senior brother Yuha is still wearing armor under his Taoist robe. Xiao Hua was stunned. When Chen Yuha was young, he always showed off his flirtatious side in front of this old man. Back then, damn it, if not for this guy, this old man would have already dual cultivated. Qian Qinghua laughed again. Junior brother Zhao's fight is to my liking. Chapter 30-50 What? You? Xiaohua was dumbfounded. He didn't expect that Qian Qinghua and Qian Yuha had such a story. Then what's the story between Qian Qinghua and Zhuo Minghui? By the way, where's your master? I'm afraid he's in closed-door training. It's not easy for him to come out. It seems that I have to visit him more often when I'm free. Qian Qinghua looked up at the entrance of the abode. It's not easy for Minghui to manage the myriad Thunder Valley alone. Xiaohua's back was sweating. He hurriedly said, Senior brother Qian, do you have anything else? If not, I'm going to send you out and start closed-door training immediately. Don't. I haven't been to the myriad Thunder Valley for a long time. I have no choice. Qian Qinghua waved his hand and said, and junior sister Minghui. But before Qian Qinghua finished, Xiaohua whispered mysteriously, Senior brother Qian Qinghua, to tell you the truth, when you took out the corpse of Miss Kai from the coffin, I know you were forced to do it to protect yourself. But, do you know who Kai Wuxia's dual cultivation partner is? Who? Qian Qinghua was stunned. Then he waved his hand and said contemptuously, how could a female cultivator from a cultivation family have a relationship with someone of higher status? It's already good that I didn't destroy her corpse that day. Li Zongbao from the Utopia faction. Xiaohua said seriously, now he's already a cultivator at the early stage of the Gold Core realm. When I found you that day, he was right next to you. If I didn't try my best to block him, I'm afraid Senior brother Qian Qinghua would have been turned into minced meat. In my opinion, he didn't make things difficult for you that day because we were all in the first team of the conference hall. But I can't guarantee that in the future. So you'd better hurry up and cultivate. The sooner you enter the Gold Core realm, the sooner you can get rid of Li Zongbao. And, in my opinion, before you enter the Gold Core realm, you can't leave the Imperial Thunder Sect. What? Qian Qinghua was dumbfounded. What you said, is it true? How could this be possible? One is a disciple of a famous cultivation sect, the other is an insignificant disciple of a cultivation family. It's true. How could I lie to you? Presumably, the Great Thunder Hall has already sent disciples to Luoyang to investigate by now. You'll know once you ask. Li Zongbao only saw you condensing your Dan in the couple's coffin. Xiaohua also didn't know. Oh no, oh no. Qian Qinghua's expression changed. He didn't expect that throwing Kai Wuxia's corpse outside would cause such a huge harm. He knew who Li Zongbao was. His cultivation had stagnated and he was no match for Li Zongbao. Plus, Li Zongbao had the upper hand. If Li Zongbao came, he wouldn't be able to deal with him. Junior brother Xiao, I owe you another favor. Qian Qinghua said as he put on the camouflage hat and said in a low voice, I'm going back now. Oh, if you have time, tell Minghui that I'm still alive in this world. All right, I understand. Xiaohua urged. Senior brother Qinghua, you should hurry back and enter seclusion. The earlier you enter the Gold Core realm, the earlier you can be free. Yes, that's right. Qian Qinghua said, clasped his hands and left in a hurry. Humph. Old bastard. After Qian Qinghua left, Xiaohua snorted, I'll let it go today. If you dare to come to my myriad Thunder Valley in the future, I'll beat you every time I see you. Xianxia. Xiaohua shouted. Coming, foster father, what's the matter? Xianxia answered and flew in front of Zhuo Minghui and the others. Foster father is going to the myriad Thunder Valley for seclusion. Xiaohua ordered. However, if there's any middle or late Foundation Establishment realm cultivators, well, even disciples of the Heavenly Thunder Palace, who dare to come to my myriad Thunder Valley, you can send a message to Foster Father. Although Foster Father can't step out of the myriad Thunder Valley, if he dares to come in, Foster Father will beat him until his teeth fall out and break his legs. Pull out his tendons and skin him. Ah, yes. Xianxia was confused, but seeing Xiaohua gnashing his teeth, he didn't dare to ask more. He just silently remembered it in his heart. What's the matter, Xiaohua? Zhuo Minghui and the others came in and asked in a low voice. It's nothing. Xiaohua looked at his master's wife and said with a smile, Disciple is afraid that when I'm in seclusion, some shameless cultivators will come to make trouble for us, so I told Li to pay more attention. Hee, second senior brother, from today until the day you're in the Myriad Thunder Valley, who would dare to touch our Myriad Thunder Valleys unless they don't want to live anymore? Cui Hongshan said with a smile. Okay. Xiaohua waved his hand and said with a smile, "It's fine if some people know how to behave, but I'm afraid of people who don't know how to behave." Then Xiaohua bowed to Zhuo Minghui and said, "Disciple will go to the inner valley for seclusion. When master comes out of seclusion before the end of the year, please tell disciple in advance so that disciple can go and welcome master." "And go." Zhuo Minghui waved her hand. "Just take it that you're on duty. My Myriad Thunder Valley is just a general name, and I didn't say that you can't step out of any specific Myriad Thunder Valley. If you have nothing to do, you can go back to your cave." "Okay," Xiaohua nodded. "But disciple really should go into seclusion for a period of time. Master's wife and eldest senior brother, take care of yourselves." "Ha ha ha," second junior brother. "Do you think we're the same size as Yingying?" Xiangyang said with a big laugh. Obviously, he had heard Xianxili's explanation outside the cave just now. Knowing that the Myriad Thunder Valley had received hundreds of thousands of top-grade spirit stones at once, he was already bursting with joy. After a little preparation, Xiaohua came to the Myriad Thunder Valley for the first time, under Xiangyang's lead. He waited for Xiangyang to take out the jade tablet, open the restriction, and then gave Xiaohua the jade slip that recorded how to open and close the restriction. Only then did he lead Xiaohua into the restriction. As soon as he stepped into the restriction, he saw a huge cone-shaped mountain peak standing in the air. Hundreds of millions of lightning bolts and thunder were produced from the void and smashed on the mountain peak. The deep valley several miles in size was full of lightning and thunder, and water overflowed. Xiaohua couldn't help but show a shocked expression again. "Junior brother Xiao," Xiangyang glanced at Xiaohua, who didn't have any reaction in the midst of the surging lightning, and said in a low voice, "This is the core of my Myriad Thunder Valley, the real Myriad Thunder Valley. Master is usually on duty here. Come with me." "Yes." Xiaohua nodded, and followed Xiangyang into the cave on the stone wall. Then, he watched Xiangyang activate the layers of restriction and take out a misty green copper mirror. When he breathed a mouthful of true essence into it, the entire mountain peak's movements were clear at a glance. Then, Xiangyang told him the rules of duty, and finally said, "Junior brother only needs to meditate here and look at the copper mirror. If there's anything different about the lightning strikes on the mountain peak, immediately come out and inform Shocking Thunder Palace. Naturally, junior brother can't leave the Myriad Thunder Valley. You only need to send me a message, and I'll come over immediately. Actually, to tell you the truth, all these years I've been on duty here, I've never encountered any abnormalities. You only need to be careful of your own cultivation, and don't be affected by the sound of thunder. If you feel that something is wrong, immediately leave this place." "Yes, junior brother understands." Xiaohua nodded, and looked left and right. Eldest senior brother has said everything that needs to be said. Junior brother will stay on duty for a few days and take a look. If there's anything I don't understand, I'll ask eldest senior brother. "All right," Xiangyang nodded. "I'll go back first. After half a day, I'll come back and see if there's anything wrong with you." "All right." Xiaohua knew that Xiangyang was still worried, and nodded. Sure enough, in the following 3 days, Xiangyang, Cui Hongshan, and Zhuo Minghui actually came more than 10 times. Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but at the same time, he felt warmth in his heart. After all, this was genuine concern, and was much better than huge Thunder Palace's distortion of right and wrong. In the end, under Xiaohua's persuasion, Xiangyang and the others didn't come over. Xiaohua then sealed the Myriad Lightning Valley's restriction, and roared loudly at the abyss of the Myriad Lightning Valley. He then activated the lightning escape technique and flew towards the mountain peak. Gotcha! The instant Xiaohua rushed into the abyss, a bolt of heavenly lightning appeared out of nowhere, and struck Xiaohua's arm. A numb feeling immediately came from his arm, and a powerful force rushed into Xiaohua's arm, instantly destroying a large part of his physical body, and Xiaohua's figure also fell several chi. Wang! Xiaohua's body flashed with lightning, and his figure rushed forward together with the power of the heavenly lightning. The powerful lightning energy was used by him in the Imperial Lightning transformation, and the speed of the lightning escape increased by a lot. There were actually signs of breaking through to Imperial Lightning Gem. Moreover, the physical body that had just been destroyed by the heavenly lightning, not only did it refine the power of heavenly lightning under the celestial body bestowment technique, it also repaired the physical body at an extremely fast speed. Wonderful! Xiao Hua felt the changes in the imperial lightning transformation, and laughed in his heart. This Myriad Thunder Valley is where the lightning evasion technique is located, right? Although this Xiao doesn't have a lightning evasion technique, this Xiao has the celestial body bestowment technique, as well as the thunder roar lightning flash technique. Presumably, this imperial lightning transformation, which has been stagnant for a long time, can advance to imperial lightning gem while comprehending talismans in this Myriad Thunder Valley? Xiao Hua's thoughts were indeed correct. In this abyss of lightning, he urged the lightning evasion technique to cultivate. In the beginning, every few qi, there would be heavenly lightning striking his physical body. Without the protection of the phoenix celestial body, the power of this strike was very powerful. Although Xiao Hua had the celestial body bestowment technique, after experiencing it several times, his physical body couldn't recover in time. Xiao Hua had no choice but to escape into the lightning peak. Naturally, Xiao Hua didn't stay idle while repairing his physical body. He took out the three-legged vermilion bird phoenix pattern furnace from the space, and let his primordial spirit practice the refining technique inside the space, while he warmed up the pill furnace, preparing to refine the rejuvenation pill. This rejuvenation pill could only be successfully refined inside the lightning peak under heavenly lightning. This item was much more precious than the ageless pill. In the future, the income of the Myriad Thunder Valley would most likely depend on it. Thinking about how many foundation establishment and gold core female cultivators there were on the Dawn Rain continent, Xiao Hua's blood boiled. It was precisely because of this that Xiao Hua didn't put the 150,000 top-grade spirit stones in his eyes. Chapter 3051. In the following days, Xiao Hua refined the rejuvenation pill while cultivating the lightning evasion technique. After refining a cauldron of rejuvenation pills, Xiao Hua refined another cauldron of spirit pills to mend scars. This kind of spirit pill was rare, but Xiao Hua had collected a lot of recipes for it. Therefore, the refining method was not worth mentioning. As for the lightning evasion technique, after cultivating in the Myriad Thunder Valley, Xiao Hua gradually gained some understanding of it. The abyss around the lightning peak was unfathomable. After flying at a certain depth, Xiao Hua was gradually able to avoid the bombardment of the indescribable heavenly lightning. Since he could avoid it, his imperial thunder transformation technique's progress had stagnated. Xiao Hua only pondered for a moment before descending several zhang. As expected, the heavenly lightning was even more concentrated and appeared without any pattern. This once again urged Xiao Hua to recite the Imperial Thunder Transformation Technique's incantation. His figure quickly flew down and welcomed the heavenly lightning's baptism. It was unknown whether Xiao Hua's bone tempering was effective, the lightning pill in his body was effective, or the lightning evasion technique was effective. Xiao Hua's Imperial Thunder Transformation Technique advanced by leaps and bounds. Not long after he advanced to the Imperial Thunder Transformation Technique, when Xiao Hua used the lightning evasion technique, his entire body really seemed to be controlling heavenly lightning as he flashed in the abyss. Suddenly, he sped up, suddenly stopped, suddenly disappeared, and suddenly reappeared. He had reached a critical juncture where the Imperial Thunder Transformation Technique was just around the corner. Thus, after Xiao Hua refined a cauldron of spirit pills, he stored the cauldron into the space and concentrated on cultivating the lightning evasion technique. Once he broke through to the Imperial Thunder Transformation Technique, he would focus on refining the rejuvenation pill, or even the heaven flattening staff and the demonic tool horn silver armor. Unfortunately, it was only a dozen or so days. Xiao Hua had just disappeared from a part of the torrent of lightning, and was closing his eyes to comprehend the changes in his body and the surrounding lightning currents. Just as he was about to break free from the torrent of lightning, Xiao Hua suddenly saw a clear purple color in front of him. It was as if his entire body had merged into a purple space. In this space, every trace of purple was in the shape of a bolt of lightning, and this space seemed to be endless. Xiao Hua was shocked. Before he could think, a rumbling sound as if the sky was collapsing and the earth was collapsing came from all around him. Every single strand of purple turned into a bolt of purple heavenly lightning that flashed across the sky like a dragon. It was as if all the heavenly lightning in the world had gathered here and was about to strike Xiao Hua. Immediately, Xiao Hua could no longer hear anything. He didn't know if it was his mind or his eyes, but he was completely immersed in the torrential lightning. Not only that, when the entire world was silent, An unparalleled power was born from every single bolt of purple heavenly lightning and pounced on Xiaohua from all directions. A kind of absolute fear. It was the same fear Xiaohua felt when Hutu Great God lit the soul-falling lamp in the Hutu village's ancestral shrine. A kind of powerlessness, a kind of uncertainty, a kind of vastness, a kind of helplessness, and a kind of lifelessness uncontrollably filled Xiaohua's mind. Not to mention that in the myriad Thunder Valley, Xiaohua, who was in seclusion to reflect on his mistakes, had unexpectedly fallen into an inexplicable realm while practicing the lightning evasion technique. In the Great Thunder Palace, Fairy Xianxia looked at Chen Qinghua with a face full of anger and coldly said, "Qinghua, the disciples who went to Rain Town to investigate have already returned. You said before. The location where you obtained the thunder-devouring bead is still there, and nothing has changed. Moreover, this old woman has already sent disciples to confirm everything you said. It seems everything is normal. But where is the source of your information? There isn't even the slightest bit of progress?" Qian Qinghua stood in front of the palace very aggrieved, bowing and saying, "Yes, Master Ancestor knows. This junior received a message from Thunder Palace's senior brother Xianxia near Small Hill Peak that day, so I hurriedly sent a message to the sect and rushed to Rain Town. This junior was extremely careful along the way. And, apart from Xiaohua, who hadn't entered my Imperial Thunder sect at that time, this junior didn't see any other sect's disciples. However, this junior didn't see any trace of senior brother Xianxia. Even using our sect's secret technique, this junior couldn't find any trace of senior brother Xianxia. Therefore, this junior felt that this was a misunderstanding on this junior's part and wanted to turn back. But at this time, this junior sensed an obscure lightning fluctuation at the location where the thunder-devouring bead was hidden. Since this junior sensed it, naturally this junior couldn't return empty-handed. This junior hurriedly used our sect's lightning technique to retrieve the thunder-devouring bead. To tell you the truth, even if the thunder-devouring bead fell into this junior's storage bag, this junior didn't dare to believe it was real. However, before this junior could think more, that bastard from the Xianghua sect actually chased after this junior. He wanted to kill this junior without saying a word. By this time, how could this junior not know that the news about the thunder-devouring bead had been leaked? However, if you obtained it, it's hard to say. Moreover, the origin of this thunder-devouring bead. In a situation where we can't be sure, even the sect master wouldn't dare to make a judgment. This disciple doesn't understand. Qian Qinghua shook his head. Even if the origin of the thunder-devouring bead is unknown, once it's in the sect master's hands, it belongs to our Imperial Thunder sect. How can we let it fly? Of course you don't understand. Fairy Xianhua sneered. Our Imperial Thunder sect's arrays rely on lightning energy. This thunder-devouring bead can replace the current thunder-vanishing bead and replace all of our arrays. Originally, the thunder-vanishing bead had gradually lost its effect due to the changes in the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Now, we have to rely on this thunder-devouring bead to get through this crisis. However, at such a critical moment, the thunder-devouring bead descended from the heavens. Who dares to say that this isn't the ulterior motive of others? If our Imperial Thunder sect uses this thunder-devouring bead, wouldn't we be placing our sect in the hands of others? Once there's an unforeseen event, who would be able to resist the enemy? This junior understands. Qian Qinghua smiled. Currently, our myriad Thunder Valley, Thousand Thunder Mountain, and Imperial Thunder Ocean all have lightning streams and lightning water to protect our arrays, right? Fairy Xianhua nodded. Yes, it's because of this that the sect master temporarily replaced a portion of the arrays with the thunder-devouring bead. If there's anything wrong, we can immediately react. Fairy Xianhua sighed. Of course, this is also a temporary measure. Sooner or later, the thunder-vanishing bead will be replaced by the thunder-devouring bead. This is also the reason why this old woman urged you to hurry up. This junior understands, but this is all that this junior can do. Qian Qinghua shook his head helplessly. Senior brother Xianxia has fallen, and that jade slip was sent by him. The news about the thunder-devouring bead has been cut off. Buzz buzz. A slight buzzing sound rang in the Great Thunder Palace, and a faint ray of light appeared. It's a message from Xianghua sect. Fairy Xianhua was startled. She hurriedly stretched out her hand and was about to touch the light when Thunder Tablet Immortal hurriedly said, Qian Qinghua, get out of the way first. Yes, this junior understands. Qian Qinghua immediately came to his senses. Ignoring the rules, he hurriedly flew out of the Great Thunder Palace. Fairy Xianhua, however, blushed. Her hand had already touched the light. Swish! A mirror light flashed, and Sun Yunzi's extremely tired face appeared in the irregular mirror. Chapter 3052. Senior Brother Sun Yunzi. Without waiting for Sun Yunzi to speak, Fairy Xianhua called out anxiously, "How's the situation in Celestial City? How are the lives of the tens of thousands of Imperial Thunder Sect disciples? Why haven't they sent a message to us after so long?" Sun Yunzi raised his head and glanced at Fairy Xianhua indifferently. He asked in a hoarse voice, "Where's Chen Lazy? Still in seclusion? Sect Master hasn't come out yet." Fairy Xianhua's face reddened, but her heart tightened. Chen Lazy really knows how to hide. Sun Yunzi still looked exhausted. How was he a late-stage nascent soul cultivator? Senior Brother Sun Yunzi, how's the situation in Celestial City? Fairy Xianhua asked helplessly. Sigh, our Dao sect has been defeated. Sun Yunzi sighed. Celestial City has fallen into the hands of sword cultivators. This time's Dao sword war has ended. The specific battle report will be sent to all sects as soon as possible. Ah! Other than Fairy Xianhua, who cried out in shock and disbelief, the entire enormous Thunder Hall was deathly silent. Everyone looked at each other in dismay, their faces filled with absolute confusion. Although the nascent soul cultivators of Great Thunder Hall had already received the news of Celestial City's fall, they only treated it as a piece of news. However, everyone only treated it as a piece of news. No one connected the fall of Sky Patrol City to the failure of the True Path sect. Dao sect's defeat seemed to be just an illusory legend. All the nascent soul cultivators of Great Thunder Hall thought that it wouldn't be long before Celestial City was seized by Dao sect's cultivators. What they had to consider was the safety of Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples in the process of seizing Celestial City. Sun Yunzi's words were tantamount to a sudden clap of thunder, knocking out these nascent soul cultivators who had been immersed in heavenly thunder their entire lives. How could our Dao sect have been defeated? What about our Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples? Fairy Xianhua hurriedly asked after recovering from her shock. Nothing is impossible in this world, Sun Yunzi said indifferently. Sword cultivators have taken control of Celestial City. In the future, our 3 cultivation kingdoms will definitely be in chaos. Cough cough, since my Dao sect has lost, then the disciples of your Imperial Lightning sect. Just as Sun Yunzi was about to continue speaking, a huge rumbling sound reverberated in everyone's ears. Before the impact of this reverberation could reach Colossal Thunder Palace, the irregular mirror surface Sun Yunzi was using to transmit his message shattered like real glass, turning into thumb-sized fragments that disappeared in midair. Sun Yunzi's words were naturally cut off. Immediately after, the entire Great Thunder Palace began to shake violently. These vibrations were extremely strange. Wherever the vibrations passed, all the restrictive barriers of the Colossal Thunder Palace would emit sizzling sounds of thunder flowers. Those thunder flowers were like fireworks in the middle of the night, bursting forth with endless colors. Those thunder flowers coiled around the entire inner walls of the Colossal Thunder Palace, crazily flowing about. A change had occurred in the Great Thunder Hall, but none of the Yuanying elders in the hall paid any attention to it. That was because, at the same time the tremors occurred, the Yuanying within the bodies of all the Yuanying cultivators gave birth to an indescribable excitement. Strands of purple brilliance emerged from the skin of the Yuanying. This brilliance flickered at the same speed as the lightning flowers in the Great Thunder Hall. This crazy nascent soul seemed to be beyond the control of a nascent soul cultivator. Merely a moment later, everything returned to normal. Not only did the lightning flowers in the Colossal Thunder Palace suddenly disappear, the lightning on the Yuanying also disappeared along with the disappearance of the lightning flowers at the same time. Only a feeling of extreme exhaustion emerged from the Yuanying of everyone, and an extremely strange feeling of calmness emerged from the hearts of the Yuanying cultivators. What is going on? Fairy Xianhua couldn't help but turn pale with fright. However, when her divine sense swept through the Colossal Thunder Palace, her originally pale face turned ashen. How is this possible? The restrictive barrier of the colossal Thunder Palace has completely disappeared. Thunder-devouring bead. Thunder-devouring bead. Fairy Xianxia abruptly came to a realization. This situation seemed to have happened when Xiaohua brought the thunder-devouring bead to the colossal Thunder Palace, and when Chen Leizi released the thunder-devouring bead in an extremely weak manner. That's not right. Reverend Lei Meng hastily cried out. It's the thunder-vanquishing bead. It caused the formation of our Imperial Thunder sect to lose its effectiveness. Fairy Yao Feng and the others also hurriedly shouted. Perhaps, the Myriad Thunder Valley, Thousand Thunder Mountain, and Imperial Thunder Ocean all had some abnormalities, causing the lightning water to be lacking, causing the formation of our Imperial Thunder sect to lose its effectiveness. Palace guard, Fairy Xianhua shouted in panic. Quickly send out all the men. There is no need to check the sect's restrictive barrier. First, check all the restrictive barriers outside the Thunder Mo mountain range. Yes, all the palace guards outside the colossal Thunder Palace also sensed the abnormality. How could they dare to be negligent? After a slight delay, they all flew out. Sigh, how can these palace guards patrol the entire Thunder Mo mountain range? Thunder Meng Daoist sighed and said, Palace Masters, immediately send out all the Gold Core disciples of the various palaces to patrol the Sky Thunder Peak. Quickly report back. Yes, all the palace masters on duty hurriedly flew out, and after a brief discussion, they also scattered in all directions. Senior Sister Xianhua. Zhen Yunzi said in a low voice. If I'm not mistaken, a part of the sect protecting formation in the Thunder Mo mountain range has been damaged. The current plan is to hurry to the Thunder-devouring bead. Prepare to replace the Thunder-vanquishing bead with the Thunder-devouring bead. Sigh, perhaps this is the only way. Fairy Xianhua smiled bitterly. Just now I was scolding Chen Qinghua. Now, I have no choice but to use the Thunder-devouring bead in advance. Thunder-devouring bead. Oh, Thunder-devouring bead. You really put me in a difficult position. As she spoke, Fairy Xianhua glanced at the palace masters and said loudly, Sect Master is still in seclusion. With such a big change, I'm afraid he can't be called out from his seclusion. Junior brothers and sisters, please tell me what to do next for our Imperial Thunder sect. Fairy Yao Feng, who usually didn't speak, opened her mouth again at this time. Senior Sister Xianhua, now that you've taken the place of Sect Master, your words are our thoughts. No matter what decision you make, we'll support you. Moreover, even if there's something wrong with the Thunder-devouring bead, didn't Sect Master say it that day? It's true that the Thunder-devouring bead is extremely powerful and is the nemesis of all the formations in our Imperial Thunder sect. However, when it comes to our Imperial Thunder sect, it's our Thunder-devouring bead. What's there to be afraid of? That's right, Thunder Meng Immortal nodded. The most important thing now is to repair the formation in the Thunder Mo mountain range. Don't let those with evil intentions take advantage of the situation. If they do something in the Thunder Mo mountain range that we don't know about, it'll be a big problem. That's right. I also have the same idea. Fairy Xianhua nodded. Even if Sect Master is here, the first thing he should deal with is this. Junior brother Lei Meng, junior sister Yao Feng, and junior brother Lei Ting. The three of you prepare to follow me to the Thunder Pool. With the combined strength of the four of us, we should be able to activate the Thunder-devouring bead. When the news of the Thunder Mo mountain range is sent back, we'll replace it with the Thunder-devouring bead and activate the formation. Yes, Thunder Meng Immortal, Fairy Yao Feng, and Lei Tingzi hurriedly stood up and replied in unison. Zhen Yunzi glanced at Dui Jie and said, Disciple and Dui Jie can't help with the Thunder-devouring bead. How about this? The two of us will go to the Myriad Thunder Valley, Thousand Thunder Mountain, and Imperial Thunder Ocean to see if there's any change there. At the same time, we'll also appease the disciples of the 8 great Thunder Palaces. All right, thank you, Junior Martial Brother. Fairy Xianhua nodded and said, Other than these few places where the Thunder Water sect has appeared, we'll also check out the other forbidden and dangerous areas. Yes, we'll go right away. After saying that, Zhen Yunzi stood up and hurriedly flew out with Dui Jie. Fairy Xianhua and the others watched the two of them fly away and looked at the remaining 3 palace masters. She waved her hand as if she wanted to open the communication channel with Sun Yunzi again. Unfortunately, there was no response from her magic power. Clearly, The communication channel was also destroyed by the Imperial Thunder Sect. She couldn't help but sigh and said, "Sigh, fortune never comes in pairs. Misfortune never comes alone." The Tao sect has just been defeated and such a huge change has already occurred in our Imperial Thunder Sect. Just now, the Imperial Thunder Sect's Sun Yunzi didn't finish his words, but from what I heard, I'm afraid it's not good. Even if Junior Marshal Brother Mi Yu and the others were not kidnapped to the Han country, I'm afraid our Imperial Thunder Sect would have to spend a large amount of spirit stones and elixirs to redeem them. No matter which one it is, our Imperial Thunder Sect has suffered a great loss. Sigh, it's good that they were defeated. The lives of Junior Marshal Brother Mi Yu and Kuang Tian can be saved. Lei Tingzi, who didn't speak much like Fairy Yao Feng, also sighed, but there was a sense of luck in his tone. If our Tao sect won and the sword cultivators fought to the death, the two junior martial brothers would bear the brunt of the calamity. Yes, when the battle report comes back, we'll take a look at it in detail. From what Sun Yunzi said, it's a bet. Lei Meng Zhenren nodded and said, when the matter in the Thunder Mo mountain range is over, this old man will volunteer to go to Sky Patrol City. No matter what, we have to bring back the tens of thousands of disciples of our Imperial Thunder Sect, right? Then we'll have to trouble Junior Marshal Brother Lei Meng. Fairy Xianxia looked at everyone helplessly and said, let's not talk about the battle in Sky Patrol City for now. The four of us need to discuss how to replace the thunder-devouring beads. Just as the four of them were discussing, news of the Thunder Mo mountain range came bit by bit. What shocked them was that in addition to a portion of the Imperial Thunder Sect's restriction formation being destroyed, 30% of the Imperial Thunder Sect's sect protective formation had been destroyed. If the thunder-devouring beads were used as replacements, then 60% of the Imperial Thunder Sect's formation would rely on the strange thunder-devouring beads. Even so, Fairy Xianxia and the others had no choice. They had no other choice but to use the new thunder-devouring beads. The four of them went deep into the lightning pool to replace the thunder-devouring beads and restore the formation of the Thunder Mo mountain range. When Xiaohua fell into the purple lightning space, it was as if all the heavenly thunder had struck him. An irresistible killing intent was born from the heavenly thunder, forcing Xiaohua to the brink of death. But this desperate situation only lasted for a moment. Xiaohua's vision darkened and the purple suddenly disappeared. All the thunder in his ears also suddenly disappeared, and it was extremely quiet. Chapter 3053. Xiaohua hurriedly opened his eyes and looked at his surroundings. When he used his divine sense to scan his surroundings, he couldn't help but be dumbfounded. This was because there was not a single bolt of lightning that had descended like rain earlier. Not a single thunderous roar could be heard. The lightning peak in front of him was just like an ordinary mountain, quietly standing there. Even the abyss that had been cleansed by the lightning water was now only darkness, without a single strand of lightning. What is going on? Xiaohua scratched his head. This Xiao didn't do anything. Why did all the heavenly lightning in this place disappear? Is a Myriad Thunder Valley without lightning still Myriad Thunder Valley? Immediately after, Xiaohua didn't dare to believe it. He escaped into the lightning mountain and flew straight into the abyss. However, no matter where he went, there was no trace of lightning. It was as if Myriad Thunder Valley had never had Myriad Thunder Valley. Xiaohua was dumbfounded. He reached out to scratch the back of his head. At this moment, his eyes suddenly lit up and he blurted out, "Damn it, it can't be!" Instantly, Xiaohua's mind sank into the space. Once his mind entered the space, Xiaohua's heart immediately turned cold. At this moment, within the space, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Right beside the reverse light, a strange inkstone-shaped object was revolving around the reverse light. On the side of the inkstone-shaped object, there were two golden tadpole-like words. However, one of the words was complete while the other was only half of a word. The lightning in the space came from the surroundings of the inkstone and then fell on the inkstone. Looking at the inkstone, it seemed to only be half. It was in an irregular shape with four corners. What was special was that the edge was damaged and there were some jagged cracks. The other half of the word was broken from this crack. Looking at the head of this thing, there were three protrusions that looked like antennae. After the lightning water fell into the inkstone, some seeped out from the broken edges, forming thick lightning bolts that fell on the huge white bone in the space. Inside the white bone, little Lei, who didn't change at all, received the heavenly lightning bolts as if he was taking a bath. Looking at the surroundings of the inkstone, the heavenly lightning that appeared out of nowhere in the same manner as the 10,000 Thunder Valley, and the purple color of the inkstone, how could Xiaohua not know that this was what he had encountered in the 10,000 Thunder Valley? How could he not know that it was this item that caused the lightning to fall from the myriad Thunder Valley? Great Aunt, you can be anywhere in the Imperial Thunder Sect, but please don't be in this small space. Xiaohua almost wanted to cry. Although he understood that this item was extremely precious, how could he dare to take it? He hurriedly used his mind to cover the object and wanted to send it out of the space. But with a thought, Xiaohua was dumbfounded again. Although that object was not the same as reverse light and could be sensed by the mind, that object was incomparably heavy and could not be moved by the mind. Furthermore, that object surrounded reverse light and slowly rotated. Similarly, an extremely large amount of lightning water fell into reverse light. Xiaohua's mind could not disturb that object's rotation at all. Madam, I beg you. Xiaohua tried over 1,000 times in succession, but that object was simply bigger than the lightning mountain in the 10,000 Thunder Valley. He could not move it at all, as if it was determined to settle down in Xiaohua's space. You've really made this young master suffer. What could Xiaohua do? His mind was extremely dispirited as he withdrew from the space. Just as his mind withdrew, Xiaohua felt a strong movement outside the restriction of the 10,000 Thunder Valley. Needless to say, it was definitely Zhuo Minghui and the others who came to investigate. Xiaohua was extremely unwilling to open the restriction, but what could he do? Just before he opened the restriction, he tried one last time to take the inkstone out of the space, and then he had no choice but to fly in front of the restriction. Xiaohua opened the restriction, and all the disciples of the 10,000 Thunder Valley came face to face. Zhuo Minghui almost rushed in, and similarly looked at the completely changed 10,000 Thunder Valley with extreme disbelief, and said loudly, Xiaohua, what did you do? After Zhuo Minghui, Yan Qinglian, Cui Hongshan, Dui Qiming and the others also flew in. After scanning the surroundings with their divine senses, they also looked at Xiaohua in shock. Disciple. What could Xiaohua say? He could only stammer. Disciple didn't do anything. Just as Disciple was cultivating in seclusion, the 10,000 Thunder Valley suddenly became like this. Disciple was investigating when Master's wife came. Really? Zhuo Minghui stared at Xiaohua and asked, Xiaohua, you must tell the truth. Really? Xiaohua also had unspeakable bitterness. Could he say that it was a problem with his space? Xiang. Zhuo Minghui habitually shouted as she turned around. However, when she saw that Xiangyang's figure was not behind her, she was a bit puzzled. Where did Xiangyang go? Yan Qinglian was also puzzled. Looking around, she said, Xiangyang was with Disciple just now. When the 10,000 Thunder Valley changed, we all flew to the inner valley together. Who knows how he suddenly disappeared? Don't worry about Xiangyang for now. Zhuo Minghui waved her hand. Hongshan, you're also on duty here. Take Qiming and your disciples and quickly search the depths of the Thunder Abyss. Qinglian, follow me to the top of the Thunder Peak. Let's see if there are any abnormalities there. No matter what, we must find the reason before the Thunder Palace comes to investigate. Yes, sir. Everyone agreed and flew up. Master's wife. Xiaohua said anxiously. You stay around for now. Zhuo Minghui was obviously not in the mood to talk to him. Your shift was short and you're not familiar with this place. Just look around. Yes, Xiaohua nodded helplessly. He knew that what the 10,000 Thunder Valley disciples did was useless and that it was impossible to find the reason. However, what could he say? That inkstone had already taken root in the space. In a short period of time, before he succeeded in tempering his mind, it was impossible to take it out of the space. After searching for an hour, although they did not find the reason for the disappearance of the heavenly lightning, the Thunder Palace disciples that Zhuo Minghui was worried about also did not come. Everyone slowly returned. Xiaohua asked, somewhat puzzled, Master's wife, I heard Master say before that our 10,000 Thunder Valley has already been gradually forgotten by the Great Thunder Palace. In other words, this 10,000 Thunder Valley is no longer important. This heavenly lightning, If it disappears, then it disappears. Report it to the Thunder Palace. At most, they'll just record this disciple's mistake. AI child. Although you've been in my 10,000 Thunder Valley for a long time, your master didn't teach you much. Zhua Minghui sighed. My 10,000 Thunder Valley is no longer as glorious as before and its role is small. However, it still involves my Imperial Thunder sect protecting formation. Just now, a strong lightning power shock occurred in the 10,000 Thunder Valley. The restriction in my cave was broken by this shock. Presumably, other places will also be affected. Let's not talk about this shock of lightning power for now. The disappearance of the heavenly lightning in this 10,000 Thunder Valley, and the scarcity of lightning water will directly affect the lightning power supply of the formation. Even if the lightning power is strong and weak, the formation of the entire Thunder Mountain range will be threatened. Although our 10,000 Thunder Valley is small, it involves a very wide area. This is so serious. Xiao Hua complained in his heart, but he still asked, since it's so important, why don't you attach importance to my 10,000 Thunder Valley? My Imperial Thunder Sect's formation relies on lightning pools. Other than 10,000 Thunder Valley, only 1,000 Thunder Mountain and Imperial Thunder Sea can produce lightning water. As for the other magic treasures, I'm not too clear about them. Among the three places, my 10,000 Thunder Valley is the smallest and produces the least amount of lightning water. Today's spiritual energy changes, Lord Sect Master must have already taken care of it. A place as small as my 10,000 Thunder Valley naturally has an even smaller role. But the facts prove that the 10,000 Thunder Valley's role is not small. Xiao Hua bit his lip. Yes, it's precisely because it's not small that your punishment is heavier. Zhua Minghui smiled bitterly. I remember your master once said that if there are any changes in the 10,000 Thunder Valley, then the punishment of Great Thunder Palace will be extremely heavy. It's even recorded in the sect's ancestral teachings. Bad news. Xiao Hua cried miserably. This disciple has caused a great disaster. Second senior brother, this matter isn't caused by you, Cui Hongshan said anxiously. Zhua Minghui shook her head. Although this Xiao Hua didn't do anything, Xiao Hua was on duty today. He definitely can't escape responsibility. At this moment, a powerful divine sense swept through the 10,000 Thunder Valley, and a shocked voice was also transmitted into everyone's ears. Ah? Something actually happened in the 10,000 Thunder Valley. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly flew out of the 10,000 Thunder Valley, respectfully standing guard in midair. Not long after, Duijie flew over from afar, her face filled with anger. Seeing this, the faces of Zhua Minghui and the others instantly changed. They had always been hoping for a fluke, wanting to find the reason for the disappearance of the 10,000 Thunder Valley's lightning before shocking Thunder Palace questioned them, hoping to make up for their mistakes. But they never would have thought that what should come would still come, and the one who came was actually the Palace Master of Lightning Palace. Although Lightning Palace was ranked last among the 8 great lightning palaces, with the Palace Master of Lightning Palace personally coming, anyone could realize the seriousness of the matter. While everyone was slightly stunned, Cui Hongshan suddenly urged his transcendence energy and flew in front of Duijie. With a flustered expression, he bowed and said, Disciple of the 10,000 Thunder Valley, Cui Hongshan, greets Palace Master Dui. Just now, this junior was on duty in the 10,000 Thunder Valley and accidentally touched a restriction. This restriction was originally normal, and this junior had encountered it before, but I didn't know what happened today. Lightning flashed in the 10,000 Thunder Valley, and then it was completely annihilated. My 10,000 Thunder Valley's disciples noticed that something was wrong, and all of us came here to patrol. But after searching for so long, we still haven't found anything strange. If there is any punishment because of the 10,000 Thunder Valley, this junior will bear it. Humph, can a foundation establishment brat like you bear the punishment of the 10,000 Thunder Valley? Duijie sneered, looked around and asked, What about the 10,000 Thunder Valley's Wu Wei? Disciple Zhua Minghui greets Palace Master Dui. Zhua Minghui hurried forward and said in a low voice, Wu Wei has been in seclusion for more than 10 years in order to break through to the Golden Core Realm, and he hasn't come out yet. Humph, it's good that he's in seclusion. Duijie narrowed her eyes. But even so, he can't escape the responsibility. Chapter 3054. Soon after, Dui Jia looked indifferently at Zhuo Minghui and Cui Hongshan and coldly said, "Leave, you were ordered to guard the 10,000 Thunder Valley. Now, you have actually destroyed the 10,000 Thunder Valley. Although you have neglected your duties, it is still a heinous crime. I'm afraid that no one will be able to protect you. Let's go, follow this old one to Colossal Thunder Hall to receive punishment." Saying this, Dui Jia ignored everyone and turned to leave. Yes, when Cui Hongshan heard this, his expression unconsciously relaxed. He turned to look at Dui Qiming. Dui Qiming, Yan Qinglian, and the others actually didn't have the chance to greet Dui Jia. Seeing the look in Cui Hongshan's eyes, Dui Qiming's expression darkened. Perhaps Xiao Hua did not know the consequences of destroying Myriad Thunder Valley, but Dui Qiming had heard everything clearly before Cui Hongshan's shift at Thunderclap Palace. Although Cui Hongshan's actions caused Dui Qiming's heart to ache greatly, she also understood Cui Hongshan's thoughts of protecting Xiao Hua. Although she could confirm that the annihilation of the Myriad Thunder Valley had nothing to do with Xiao Hua was, after all, in charge of the Myriad Thunder Valley in seclusion. Xiao Hua's responsibility could not be shirked. Not to mention that this responsibility was originally very heavy. Xiao Hua had now been repeatedly punished by the Great Thunder Hall. He really could not make any more mistakes. Although Dui Qiming's heart was in pain, she still respected her husband's decision and nodded slightly at Cui Hongshan's gaze. Wait! Just as Cui Hongshan's gaze swept past Xiao Hua and secretly gave him a meaningful glance, Xiao Hua couldn't take it anymore and raised his voice. "Senior brother Xiao," Cui Hongshan said anxiously, "I'll be right back. Nothing will happen." Junior brother Cui, even if there's nothing wrong, this matter happened because of me. I still have this bit of responsibility. How can I let you take the blame? I appreciate your kind intentions, but let me go to the enormous Thunder Hall to bear the responsibility for this crime. Xiao Hua stepped out from the crowd and indifferently said, "Senior brother Xiao." Cui Hongshan stomped his feet in midair. He had managed to deceive Dui Jia with great difficulty, and as long as he arrived at the Great Thunder Hall, he would already have a certain degree of confidence. Who would still be able to tell? Now that Xiao Hua had stood out, although Dui Jia did not understand the duty of 10,000 Thunder Valley very well, she could tell at a glance. Yes. Xiao Hua has been punished by my Colossal Thunder Hall to be in seclusion on duty in Myriad Thunder Valley. Cui Hongshan, how could you possibly be on duty again? Dui Jia's face turned cold as she said angrily, "How dare you deceive this queen? How should he be punished?" Dui Qiming hastily stepped forward and bowed. "Your Excellency Asgard Master, Brother Cui and Xiao Hua have a deep brotherly relationship. Asgard Master, please quell your anger." Sahib Dui Jia looked at Dui Qiming, then at Xiao Hua and Cui Hongshan. A complicated expression flashed across her eyes. She waved her hand and said, "Qiming, you are a disciple of my Dui Thunder Palace. You made great contributions during the Dao Sword War. You are truly a role model for my Dui Thunder Palace." Moreover, the relationship between Cui Hongshan and Xiao Hua, this old woman is also gratified. However, a mistake was a mistake, and others could not bear it. This consort doesn't know how your 10,000 Thunder Valley guards, nor can this consort determine who made this mistake. Therefore, this consort does not intend to pursue Cui Hongshan's crime of deceit. The three of you, follow this old woman, and wait until we arrive at the Great Thunder Hall to listen to the other teacher's decision. After speaking, Dui Jia flew away without looking back. As she flew, she even sent out a Thunder Note talisman. It was very obvious that the responsibility of 10,000 Thunder Valley's destruction was too great. Cui Hongshan looked at Xiao Hua sighed, and did not speak again. "Let's go." Zhuo Minghui's heart also ached. She looked at Dui Qiming, then looked at Cui Yingying, who was being held by Zhang Wan behind Dui Qiming. She had already made a decision in her heart, and she waved her hand to follow behind Dui Jia. Xiao Hua and Cui Hongshan accompanied Zhuo Minghui. "Junior brother Cui." After flying for a while, Xiao Hua transmitted in a low voice, 10,000 Thunder Valleys, 10,000 Thunder Valleys, 10,000 Thunder Valley disappeared. What serious consequences could there be? From Palace Master Dui's meaning, it seems very serious? Haha, it's nothing much. Cui Hongshan said with a forced smile. If it was before, 10,000 Thunder Valley was the vital point of my Imperial Thunder Sect. The disappearance of 10,000 Thunder Valley would definitely cause a huge commotion. But now, 10,000 Thunder Valley's importance has already gradually faded. Otherwise, Master, a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator, would not have been on guard that year, and would not have been so disliked. If we talk about punishment, right? It's just a matter of raising it up high and gently dropping it down. A fine of spirit stones, a punishment of being confined to seclusion, and that's it. If it's too serious, this little brother also does not dare to shoulder it for you. Since that's the case, you also don't need to shoulder it for this elder brother. Xiaohua seemed to understand Cui Hongshan's meaning, and let out a slight sigh of relief. The problem is that second senior brother has provoked quite a bit of Great Thunder Hall's anger during this period of time. If you commit this minor mistake again, it will make Great Thunder Hall very embarrassed. Cui Hongshan said with a bitter smile, who knows, Great Thunder Hall might make a mountain out of a molehill and cause some huge waves. Xiaohua smiled, waving his hand. It's fine. Everything will come to light after the Great Dao Sword battle ends. Nothing will happen to this elder brother. Sigh, all right. Cui Hongshan smiled bitterly again. Now that things had come to this, even if he wanted to shoulder the blame for Xiaohua, it was also impossible. Unfortunately, Xiaohua and Cui Hongshan still did not notice that Duijie, the palace master of Great Thunder Hall, had personally come to the Myriad Thunder Valley to investigate. Moreover, she had come alone. How could this matter be simple? When they arrived at the Thunder Immortal Peak, although there were disciples on duty around Great Thunder Hall, they were obviously fewer than usual. Moreover, the order was somewhat disorderly. When some disciples saw Duijie and the others flying back, they hurriedly went forward to pay their respects, and then hurriedly returned. Wait outside the hall. When they arrived at the entrance of Great Thunder Hall, Duijie indifferently instructed Zhuo Minghui and the others, and then she went in first. At this time, there was no longer the chaos inside Great Thunder Hall. Most of the palace masters who had rushed out to investigate at the beginning of the anomaly had already returned. There were still a few palace masters sitting high on the prayer mats. Except for Zhen Yunzi, who had yet to return, the others all had a trace of anger on their faces as they looked at a cultivator kneeling in the hall. Duijie glanced at that cultivator, cupped her hands and said, reporting to Martial Aunt Xianhua, this disciple has already found the location of the anomaly. Yes, we already know that an anomaly has occurred in the Myriad Thunder Valley. Fairy Xianhua said indifferently. Duijie was startled and looked at Zhen Yunzi's empty prayer mat. She had just passed on this matter to Zhen Yunzi and had yet to report it to Great Thunder Hall. Since Zhen Yunzi had yet to return, how could Great Thunder Hall know? Naturally, Duijie immediately understood that Zhen Yunzi must have already sent a message to Great Thunder Hall. However, Fairy Xianhua's next sentence made Duijie dumbfounded. Fairy Xianhua pointed with her finger and said, the troublemaker of the Myriad Thunder Valley has already come to Great Thunder Hall to accept his punishment. Ah! Duijie unconsciously looked at the Myriad Thunder Valley disciple kneeling on the ground. Who else could it be but Xiangyang? Sigh. Duijie sighed inwardly. Cui Hongshan jumping out to take the blame for Xiaohua had already exceeded her expectations. Xiangyang was even more miraculous. Long before Duijie had arrived at the Myriad Thunder Valley, he had already gone to Great Thunder Hall to take the blame. How could Duijie endure this? For a moment, Duijie didn't know what to say. What's the situation in the Myriad Thunder Valley? Fairy Xianhua asked coldly. Clearly, she was already beyond furious. That's right, who wouldn't fly into a rage after knowing that the Dao sect had suffered a great defeat in the Dao Sword War, and that the lives of tens of thousands of their own disciples were unknown? Reporting to Martial Aunt, the Myriad Thunder Valley has already disappeared. There will no longer be a grand occasion like the Myriad Thunder Tide. Duijie said indifferently, and even added, the effects of the Myriad Thunder Valley have already begun to weaken a long time ago. Now that it has disappeared, it's just that we were caught unprepared. It's not a big deal. Humph, even so, it's still an unforgivable crime. Fairy Xianhua snorted coldly. Although the effects of the Myriad Thunder Valley will definitely disappear in the end, now that it has happened ahead of time, our Great Thunder Hall is extremely passive. There are even some unpredictable possibilities. Yes, this disciple understands. Dui Jie nodded. Just as she was thinking about how to speak up for Xiangyang and how to get Zhuo Minghui and the others to leave, she heard Zhen Yunzi's voice from behind her. Palace Lord Dui's actions are really fast. I just arrived at the Imperial Thunder Sea, and you already sent me the situation of the Myriad Thunder Valley, and even brought over the disciples of the Myriad Thunder Valley who made a mistake. This is bad. Dui Jie cried bitterly in her heart. Sure enough, Fairy Xianxia asked curiously, Dui Jie? You also took the disciples of the Myriad Thunder Valley? Sigh. Dui Jie sighed. Looking at the gloomy Thunder Meng Reverend, she said, Masters, this disciple will not speak any more. Let Zhuo Minghui and the others from the Myriad Thunder Valley come in and report. After saying this, Dui Jie floated up and sat on her own praying mat. Zhen Yunzi looked at the kneeling Xiangyang with a baffled expression and also sat on his own praying mat. As for Thunder Meng Reverend, his ashen face raised his eyebrows as if he had thought of something. Let Zhuo Minghui and the others from the Myriad Thunder Valley come in. Fairy Xianxia raised her voice and shouted. A moment later, Zhuo Minghui and the others followed the outside into the Great Thunder Hall. Needless to say, Xiaohua seemed to have already become a frequent visitor of the Great Thunder Hall. Cui Hongshan had once come to the Great Thunder Hall and received a reward. At this moment, although he was trembling with fear, he also had some confidence in his heart. On the contrary, as a senior, Zhuo Minghui's figure was somewhat trembling. It was extremely similar to the last time when helplessness brought Xiaohua to see Qian Leizi. It was no wonder. Zhuo Minghui and helplessness had been in the Imperial Thunder Sect for so many years. They had heard of the awe-inspiring name of the Great Thunder Hall. This kind of formless prestige had long been deeply ingrained in their hearts and minds. It was different from Xiaohua's fearless newborn calf. Eldest senior brother? When Xiaohua entered the Great Thunder Hall, he did not lower his head like Zhuo Minghui and Cui Hongshan. Instead, he swept his gaze and very easily saw Xiangyang's familiar back. When he saw Xiangyang's kneeling figure, how could Xiaohua not understand why Xiangyang had come to the Great Thunder Hall? In an instant, Xiaohua's heart was very sour. His nose was sour and his eyes were sour. He then looked at Cui Hongshan, who was respectfully walking in front of him, and slightly lowered his head. He had already made a decision. For these two senior brothers who did not care about their own safety and simply did not consider taking the blame for him, he would lower his proud head. Chapter 3055. Greetings. Greetings, Palace Masters. Zhuo Minghui's tone was somewhat stuttering, and her voice was also slightly trembling. Her heart was in a mess, and she didn't know how to deal with this matter. And Zhuo Minghui, Fairy Xianxia said coldly, let me ask you, what exactly happened in your Myriad Thunder Valley? Why did two disciples cause trouble all of a sudden? Tell us everything that happened in the Myriad Thunder Valley. Yes, disciple. Zhuo Minghui's head was still lowered, and she hesitated for a moment before saying, for some reason in the Myriad Thunder Valley, the lightning that was usually like raindrops suddenly completely disappeared. Disciple led the Myriad Thunder Valley to investigate for a long time, but didn't find anything wrong. Is it that simple? Hearing that Zhuo Minghui couldn't say anything, Fairy Xianxia asked, when the lightning was annihilated, who was on duty in the Myriad Thunder Valley? It was Disciple. Xiangyang was still unwilling to give up, and before Xiaohua could speak, he hurriedly said, Disciple just touched the restriction of the Myriad Thunder Valley, and before I could enter, the lightning in the Myriad Thunder Valley instantly disappeared. Although Disciple doesn't know the reason, Disciple knows that Disciple must have made a mistake in the incantation, causing the Myriad Thunder Valley to go wrong. Ai Xiaohua sighed, stepped forward and answered with a bow, I'll let martial ancestor Xianhua know that this matter is Disciple's fault. Hee, what a helpless disciple. Two disciples actually admitted their mistakes at the same time. Fairy Xianhua sneered. Martial ancestor Xianhua. Dui Jie's heart moved, and she seemed to plead for leniency, but also seemed to sneer as she said, It's the helpless disciples who admitted their mistakes at the same time. 3. Fairy Xianhua's mouth curved into a mocking smile. If all three admit their mistakes, then all three will be punished at the same time. Don't think that you can escape punishment by acting this way. No need. Xiaohua said indifferently. The matter is very simple. Originally, Disciple was on duty in the Myriad Thunder Valley under the punishment order of the Great Thunder Hall, but the lightning in the Myriad Thunder Valley suddenly disappeared. At that time, Senior Martial Brother Xianxia and Junior Martial Brother Cui Hongshan were not in the Myriad Thunder Valley. The two of them were only afraid that Disciple would be punished again, so they rushed to stand out. It won't be difficult to investigate this matter. Grandmaster only needs to send a disciple to the 10,000 Thunder Valley to ask where Senior Martial Brother Xiangyang went and where the 10,000 Thunder Valley was before the change. Junior brother. Xiangyang turned around and shook his head. You don't understand at all. Xiangyang's tone was the same as Cui Hongshan's. No matter what. Xiaohua ignored Xiangyang and said respectfully, the responsibility of the Myriad Thunder Valley lies on this junior's shoulders. Whether it is punishment or punishment, this junior will bear it alone. Don't involve the other disciples of the Myriad Thunder Valley. Humph. Xiangyang. Cui Hongshan. Fairy Xianhua snorted coldly. You dare to deceive Colossal Thunder Hall? Admittedly, your intentions are good, and you want to help your fellow apprentice brothers, but this matter cannot be allowed to continue for long. After this matter is over, go to your thunder-shaking palace and receive 30 whips. Do you have any objections? Senior apprentice Sister Xianhua hearing this, Thunder Tablet Reverend's face changed slightly as he hurriedly said, 30 lashes. Isn't that too heavy? Heavy. Junior brother Lei Meng, if you think it's heavy, then tell me, how should I deal with it? Fairy Xianhua sneered. The Myriad Thunder Valley was deployed by your thunder-shaking palace. You are also responsible for the annihilation of the Myriad Thunder Valley's lightning. This old one naturally has no right to deal with you. When Sect Master comes out of seclusion, this old one will ask him to punish you. Sigh. Thunder Tablet Reverend sighed. He knew that Fairy Xianhua was currently in a fit of anger and was worried about the tens of thousands of Imperial Thunder Sect's disciples. At this moment, anyone who made a mistake would be severely punished. Thus, he no longer argued with her. However, thinking about Xiaohua's punishment, Thunder Tablet Reverend unconsciously frowned and looked at Xiaohua with some pity. We have no objections. Xiangyang and Cui Hongshan's faces also changed. They did not expect Fairy Xianhua to be so strict. However, seeing that Thunder Tablet Reverend's pleading was useless, they could only lower their heads and admit their guilt. Humph, you all can just stand to the side. Fairy Xianhua no longer paid attention to Xiangyang, Cui Hongshan and Zhua Minghui. She coldly looked at Xiaohua and asked in an indifferent tone, Xiaohua, you're really something. This old one really did not expect you to be so arrogant. Look at you, it's fine if you don't return to the Imperial Thunder Sect, but once you do, you've stirred up the entire sect. This old one let you stay in seclusion in the Myriad Thunder Valley so that you could calm your heart. This is not the great battle of Daowen's sword. You are a disciple of my Imperial Thunder Sect and should properly abide by the rules of my Imperial Thunder Sect. In the end, this old one's arrangement actually brought disaster to my Imperial Thunder Sect. The Myriad Thunder Valley's lightning was actually annihilated. What do you want this old one to say about you? Back then, when this old one first met you, it was also in the Great Thunder Palace. At that time you were so humble. Even when you brought back the thunder-devouring bead, you were not arrogant and did not ask for rewards. This old one's impression of you was extremely good. However, look at you now. This old one does not dare to believe that this is the same person. Xiaohua smiled bitterly. The annihilation of the Myriad Thunder Valley's lightning was indeed his fault. He had no choice but to admit it and there was no need to conceal it. What he could not say was the specific reason. Therefore Xiaohua bowed and said, This disciple knows his mistake. This disciple neglected his duty and caused the Myriad Thunder Valley's lightning to be annihilated. No need to blame yourself. Fairy Xianhua waved her hand. You still do not have the divine ability to cause the lightning to be annihilated in the Myriad Thunder Valley. You merely neglected your duty. Yes, this disciple understands. This disciple will accept his punishment. Xiaohua willingly lowered his head. Hee. Fairy Xianhua sneered and ignored Xiaohua. Instead, she looked at Thunder Meng Reverend and asked, Junior brother Lei Meng, Why don't you tell me what responsibility the person in charge of the Myriad Thunder Valley has to bear? What kind of punishment will he receive? Thunder Meng Reverend's expression was indescribably strange. He stared at Xianxia for a long while, then said with an emotionless voice, according to the rules set by founder Qian Yun himself, any disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect who guards the Thousand Thunder Mountain, Myriad Thunder Valley and Imperial Thunder Sea must spare no effort to guard the foundation of our Imperial Thunder Sect's formations. Do not have any negligence or wishful thinking. If you discover the slightest abnormality, immediately report it to your Thunder Palace. The palace masters of the various Thunder Palaces who receive the news can, according to the urgency of the matter, report it to the Palace Master of the Thunder Palace, or even directly to the Sect Master of the Great Thunder Palace. If the responsibility of the person in charge of the Myriad Thunder Valley and Imperial Thunder Sea causes the formation of our Imperial Thunder Sect to be damaged, depending on the severity of the situation, a light punishment will be to cripple his cultivation and expel him from the Imperial Thunder Sect. A heavy punishment will be to immediately search his soul and kill him on the spot. Ah! Thunder Meng Reverend's words struck Xiaohua's heart like a bolt from the blue, causing him to almost cry out in surprise. This was really beyond his expectations. He really did not expect that the Myriad Thunder Valley, which had been weak for so many years, would actually have such an important position in its early years. It actually required the founder of the sect, founder Qian Yun, to personally give the order. Furthermore, the punishment for a mistake was so heavy. This kind of punishment was far beyond Xiaohua's imagination. Junior brother Lei Meng, do you think the annihilation of the Myriad Thunder Valley, which Xiaohua is currently in charge of, is light or heavy? Fairy Xianxia asked indifferently. Thunder Meng Reverend sighed, replying, naturally extremely heavy, heavy to the point of no return. Not only has the Myriad Thunder Valley ceased to exist, even the sect protecting formation of our Imperial Thunder Sect has been affected. However what? Fairy Xianxia continued. However, is the current situation of the Myriad Thunder Valley different from before? Yes. Thunder Meng Reverend's reply was somewhat low, and even very reluctant. Disciple asks martial uncle Lei Meng a question. Qian Fengju, the palace master of Qian Yun's Thunder Palace, stepped out from the crowd, bowing and asking, what martial uncle said just now, was it the words of the founder of our Imperial Thunder Sect himself? Yes. Thunder Meng Reverend's reply was somewhat lower. Then, in all these years, has any sect master of our Imperial Thunder Sect changed this sect law? Qian Fengju's voice was equally calm. No. Thunder Meng Reverend's voice was almost inaudible. Disciple has no more questions. Many thanks for martial uncle Lei Meng's teachings. Qian Fengju retreated like the wind. Plop, Xiangyang, who was at the side, couldn't help but kneel down and say anxiously, I would like to inform all the palace masters that this is the first time Xiaohua is on duty in the Myriad Thunder Valley. This is all my fault for not informing Xiaohua of this rule. He simply does not know the importance of being on duty in the Myriad Thunder Valley. If you want to pursue responsibility, this junior is willing to share half of it with junior brother Xiao. Xiangyang, when you were on duty for the first time, it was your master who personally told you this sect law, right? Fairy Xianxia asked indifferently. Yes, Xiangyang was slightly startled, but he still answered honestly. Cui Hongshan, when you were on duty for the first time, it was your master who personally told you this sect law, right? Fairy Xianxia also asked indifferently. Ah. Yes, Cui Hongshan was also slightly startled, but looking at Zhuo Minghui, who was at a loss, he still answered. This is the first sect law of the Myriad Thunder Valley, which is above the other sect laws of the Imperial Thunder Sect. It is something that all disciples of the Myriad Thunder Valley must remember in their hearts. Fairy Xianxia said, Master told this disciple the sect law to let this disciple understand the importance of the Myriad Thunder Valley. If your master had no choice but to tell this sect law to all of you, and all of you committed a mistake, would you still want your master to bear the responsibility? This. Xiangyang and Cui Hongshan were dumbfounded. They did not dare to nod again. If they really nodded, then even Wu Qi would be implicated. The sect law clearly states that the disciples on duty in the Myriad Thunder Valley must bear the responsibility for the changes in the Myriad Thunder Valley. But it does not mean that even the master has to bear the responsibility. Our Imperial Thunder Sect is a large sect in the Shi country. We have a complete system of rules and regulations. We will never wrong a good person, and we will never tolerate a bad person. Fairy Xianxia continued, since Xiangyang admitted that he made a mistake in teaching Xiaohua a lesson, then he also has to bear the responsibility. Increase the whip punishment by 30. But if you want to share the blame for Xiaohua, that is absolutely impossible. If this matter were to spread out, it would ruin the reputation of our Imperial Thunder Sect. Yes. Xiangyang bit his lips. He did not know how to respond to Fairy Xianhua's explanation. You're tuning in to the Wisdom Diary YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.